In a year where every other show was an isekai, and shit taste has become more widespread than ever, the brave users of our anime have waded through the piles of trash in hopes of finding something remotely deserved.
No more negativity! Great anime still happen every season, and we've gotten so many fantastic shows over the past year. The Our Anime Awards are about celebrating everything we love about this medium, from the visually stunning fights of Demon Slayer, to the tense thrills of The Promised Neverland, the wild energy of Mob Psycho, the sexy fitness of Dumbbell, the emotional serenity of Fruits Basket, to even the indulgent wish fulfillment of 29 different isekai, and so much more. To make sure nothing is left behind, we've split the awards into two. We've invited all 1.2 million users of the subreddit to vote on their favorites from 2019. We also recruited a passionate jury to give each show a fair chance and even the playing field. Both are important, and now that the votes are in, the winners will be announced live February 22nd in a very special live stream.
That's right, Snoo. I'll be your host, Kamimashita, and we'll be streaming at twitch.tv/Dr_J Wilson.
And you're invited!
We've got some special guests like LilyPichu, Under the Scope, the Canipa Effect, Arkada of Glass Reflection, and more. So join us Saturday, February 22nd at 4 p.m. EST. I guarantee that at the very least, you'll have a fun time. And of course, if anything I said is wrong, I'm sorry. I must have stuttered. And that happens to be right now. Hi everyone, welcome to the second annual Our Anime Awards livestream. I'm your host, Kamimashita, and I hope you're ready to celebrate all the amazing anime from the past year. And just to say in advance, I promise, I'm not releasing my new rap video. At least anytime soon. Before we get things going, I want to go over just exactly how these awards are run. We're split into two halves, the public and the jury. The public consists of all of you, as well as the over 1 million subscribers on the Our Anime subreddit. Earlier last year, around October, we released a jury application on the sub. People answered some questions, and more importantly, told us just how much anime we could shove down their throats. Reason being, they have to watch every single thing that's nominated. The primary reason the jury exists, and why we think our awards has a great balance, is to make sure nothing is missed. The jury is required to watch every nominated show to completion and decide on a final ranking. Meanwhile, the public votes daily on each category to determine their final rankings. Both the rankings are revealed alongside each other, so any potential viewer can see what grabbed the community's attention at large, as well as possibly some more niche shows as well. Perfectly balanced, as Thanos would say. But what I want you to keep most in mind while you're watching the stream is that this is an entirely community-run volunteer effort. Everything you're seeing, from that fantastic trailer, thanks to Lily by the way, to the graphics on the stream and the awards overall, is all done by passionate fans who just want to celebrate this medium that we all love. Nobody's getting paid here. I have no ads to run and no game trailers to present. Just love for all of you and all the anime we watch. But hey, I know you're raring to go. Without further ado, let's begin. And it all starts with the genre awards. Our first guest is coming to us from the frigid north. It's Comrade Kaverik of the Our Anime podcast.
New anime always means excitement. Excitement means hype. Hype means action. These shows have it all, from exhilarating story progression to life-altering choices, from cutting-edge animation to thrilling battle scenes. It's just impossible to walk away indifferent. Here are your nominees for Best Action of 2019.
Best Action: Fire Force, David Production. Senko Roll Connect, Atsuya Uki. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Part 5, Golden Wind, David Production. Dragon Ball Super, Brawly, Toei Animation. Demon Slayer, Kimetsu no Yaiba, UFO Table. Kengan Ashura, Lark's Entertainment, Mob Psycho 100, 2, Bones, Yojo Senki Movie, Nut,
And your public and jury winner for Best Action is second season of Mob Psycho.
All right, Cav. Mob as a winner here is really no surprise. Huh? Is there anything in particular about this season compared to the first that sticks out to you?
So in the first season of Mob Psycho, we were mostly introduced to the whimsical cast and the odd world of Citizen City and Salt Middle School, and the charming blend of action and comedy won over many people. The second season kind of capitalizes on this build-up of the first season and offers deeper characterization, some pretty heavy, at times darker moments, and even more breathtaking fighting scenes. So I believe the highlights of the series would be the fluid and very expressive animation and characters development, especially Mob, the main character.
I mean, not only Mob, but Reagan too, right? Because Reagan gets this whole mini arc that's just tremendous.
Yeah, devoted all to himself, and it was cool. And I hope it kind of helped out people to like his character more. He's a very interesting and deep character.
Right, he's kind of like that lovable asshole kind of character.
Yeah, and he's kind of a mentor for Mob in many ways, even though he's kind of sketchy by many standards.
And what I also wanted to ask you about is jury gave I don't even know how you say it, Kenkoro 2 or Kenkoro Connect second place. I have never heard of this before. I just know there was a screening at AX, I think. Have you seen it, and what is it all about?
Senkaro is kind of curious. So I believe it's made at least the first one is made entirely by one person. I'm not sure about the second one, but maybe it's the same. I can't say really. But visually, it's super outstanding. It's a real technical feat. Animation is some of the best in the medium that I've seen. The contrast between black, gray, and white colors is transmuted very masterfully. Camera work is great, but it kind of feels like a demo. Everything when it comes to actual plot, the world building, the characters is kind of simplistic, kind of bare bones. I wish there was more, really more. And we know that the third Senko is coming, it is in production. And I really hope that we won't have to wait another 10 years. The gap between the first one and second one was 10 years, yeah.
So do you not agree that it's second, or?
I don't know. I feel like it could be second. But it's kind of a wild pick. I don't know. In this anime, some really good things about it could be said about animation, but at the same time there are some big flaws for me at least.
Okay, well, let's bring in the juror and we'll ask him how the process went. The juror for this category that we're bringing in is Chem Chem. Hi, Chem Chem. Chem Chem. Oh no. Chem Chem, are you there? Can you hear me?
Oh, sorry about that, guys. I'm on a mobile app at the moment. It took me a while to alt-tab.
Oh, no, you're good. I mean, I'm just happy you're here. Can you explain to me how the jury process went? Was it easy decision? Was there a lot of discussion?
The answer was both. So right off the bat, 10 out of 11 people were like, yay, Mob Psycho, let's do this, way back in November. A lot of discussion for second place.
Keep going.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so Sunker Roll was definitely a surprise. I don't think and myself included, I don't think any of us even heard it until the 11th hour before nominations. And then everybody who saw it immediately shortlisted it, so that was a very strong pick. Kengan Ashura was a very decisive. That had the most controversy, I believe. I was a big shill for Kengan Ashura, and I think the biggest point about that show is just how goddamn. And you either like it or hate it for that.
I see. Now, what I really want to ask is, there's a pretty big disparity between the public putting Yaiba at second and you giving it second to last. What was the main criticism of Yaiba? Why do you think it placed so low with the jury?
So, the two most vocal criticisms against Yaiba was just how extremely derivative it was, and how uninteresting its cast was. There was definitely some roast the main character and for yellow screaming friend. So.
Oh yeah, I mean yeah. I don't think anyone can actually defend Zenitsu, so got me there.
Yep. Strangely enough, nobody explicitly hated Fire Force. Just kind of wound up there from indifference.
Oh, okay. I mean, you know, I think indifference is almost worse than being actively bad at times. Because at least being actively bad, you can derive some sort of entertainment. But if something's just meh, then yeah. Anyway, thanks you guys for coming. Kaverik, do you have any questions for Chem Chem?
I'm just curious, what kind of strengths did you see in Sankroll, and why did you place it as second?
Well, going back to calling something bad by meh, Sankroll is definitely the most fascinating watch out of all these. Definitely a unique vision without getting too much into the details of the plot. It's weird and it works. There's a lot of playing around with the monster designs, and just this amorphous jelly blob and the combat behind that was quite a trip.
Okay, interesting. Yeah.
Well, thank you guys. I'll kick you out now.
All right, have a good one.
All right, that was Best Action. Moving on to Best Adventure Fantasy. Our guest for Best Adventure Fantasy is basedbecker. And from Vikings to Magical Girls, Adventure Fantasy is one of the most diverse categories this year had to offer. I think it's the one most indicative of anime's propensity for the fantastical, and its ability to serve as a portal to another world. Here are your nominees for Best Adventure Fantasy of 2019.
Dororo, Mappa and Tezuka Productions. Golden Kamuy, OVA, Geno Studio. Dr. Stone, TMS Entertainment. Hugto Precure, Toei Animation. That time I got reincarnated as a slime. 8-bit. Kemri Kusa, Yayorozu. Vinland Saga, Wit Studio. The Girl from the Other Side, Wit Studio.
Oh, and the winner for Best Adventure Fantasy is Vinland Saga for both.
All right, Bex. What do you think about Vinland Saga? Do you think it was an easy decision?
So I'm gonna be like real with you, Chief. I haven't got a chance to watch Vinland Saga, unfortunately.
What do you
it's on my
mean?
plan. It's on my plan to watch this. You know why?
It's a show that everyone's been talking about for the last like.
I know, but here's the thing. I wanted to binge it. Oh my god, I wanted to binge it so bad, but now I have the chance to. So like, I know like this show has been nutted on for like years at this point, literal years, dude. And it's made by the Planetes mangaka, so I'm like, I know it's gonna be good. And it's about Vikings. It's not every day that you see like an anime about what fucking Vikings. Like, it's got to be something special, right?
I mean, I have to say, I think it is pretty special. Like, I don't know. There's some parts of it that aren't as good, like maybe some of the characters, but like action is on point. The clip we use for the montage is this like badass fight. That
I saw that and I was like, "Yo, that looks fucking dope." The not the 360, but like 180 shot or whatever.
And like the choreography and everything, and that's just one of many.
I also know that the main character kind of quick though. That's all I know.
Yeah,
kind of quick though.
Now, do you have any thoughts on the rest of the nominees?
I know. I'm not really interested in Dr. Stone because every time I look at a screenshot of it on Twitter, it looks like total ass, and I'm just like, I'm not gonna watch this. Dororo was hyped up by my friends when that was airing, so I want to check that out at least. I think it's on Amazon. I'm probably gonna watch the Golden Kamuy OVA because I like Golden Kamuy. Slime sounds good. I mean,
I have a feeling that you haven't watched. Have you watched literally anything here?
I didn't get the chance to. I'm sorry. I mean, like, I'm gonna cry, but like,
you're fine. You're fine. Okay. And to bring a juror in to talk about how it went, it is krasnovian. Hello, Kras.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Hey, no problem. Can you explain how the jury process went?
Yeah. So the jury, pretty early on, favorite. When initial discussion was happening, it was still airing, so we weren't sure, if it would stick the landing or not. A lot of us weren't source readers. But after it ended, it seemed pretty unanimous that Vinland was gonna end up on top. Looking at the rankings here, it looks like, aside from Totsukuni no Shoujo, the public and the jury were pretty similar in where they place most of this stuff.
Very similar, yeah.
Yeah, in fact, except for Totsukuni, like, switch Stone and Dororo, and it's the same. So yeah, I think we're pretty in tune with what the public thinks on these shows. I'm shocked to see the public put Hugto higher than the jury, to be quite honest.
Oh, I didn't even notice that until now. That's pretty surprising.
Me either, yeah. I mean, I think it's mostly because most people just don't know what Kamirikusa is, but...
Yeah, that's probably...
Yeah, that, and also Totsukuni no Shoujo is also pretty unknown, so...
Now, here's
I have a question about this show, actually. Did this show... How faithful to the manga was this show? Because I know a lot of manga fans were really worried about, like, whether they're going to follow the manga or not, because it's, like, very, very special to them and all that stuff.
Which one, Vinland?
Yeah, Vinland, yeah.
Yeah, I am not a source reader, so I don't feel like I can speak authoritatively on that. I know there was some controversy about a specific cut for Thorkel that manga fans were pretty upset about, but I think as far as the big picture, it follows the manga pretty well. That was my general impression from the episode threads.
Sweet.
All right, and I just had one last question.
I actually do want to check this show out. Like, this is the one show out of all the grouping that I actually really wanted to check out, and I thought, oh, I'm probably gonna like this a lot. But yeah.
I had one last question for both of you. Adventure fantasy, like, so we basically combined two different categories, adventure and fantasy, because they're pretty similar. But the slate of shows that we're given right now are pretty different. Was it hard to compare them? Do you think it's hard to compare them?
I mean, I can't really say because I'm not really haven't seen the shows.
In general, though, because like in here we have like a slate of like serious and more lighthearted. Because Dr. Stone and Vinland Saga are like on two different spectrums. You know what I mean?
Yeah, honestly, I don't think that comparison was as difficult as comparing something like Kamirikusa to Dororo. Like their tone, their storytelling style, what they focus on is completely almost diametrically opposed. So at times it was kind of hard to compare, but in the end you just kind of have to look at it as a whole package, and then you have to remember, like, these are all nominated as the top 8 of the year. It's not that anything here is particularly bad, it's just if something got higher, it just edged out. It was a little better than the other things.
It's a very good point. All right, well, thank y'all for coming, and have a good day.
Thanks.
I love you, Wilson.
Love you, Bex. All right, moving on to best comedy. Our guests for Best Comedy are also from the RMA podcast. They're Mozilla Fennekin, also known as Lux, and Becker's coming back.
Many say that laughter is the best medicine. A good comedy knows how to deliver it in spades, whether through a striking resemblance to our everyday lives or an intense view of utter absurdity that dazzles our imaginations. Your nominees for Best Comedy of 2019 are Best Comedy. Cautious Hero. White Fox. How heavy are the dumbbells you lift? Doga Kobo. Hitoribochi no Maru Maru Seikatsu. C2C. Wasteful Days of High School Girls. Passion. Isekai Quartet. Studio Puyukai. Machikado Mazoku. JC Staff. Kaguya-sama, Love is War. A1 Pictures. The Disastrous Life of Saiki K. Saishido Hen and Kanketsu Hen. JC Staff.
Cool show.
And your public and jury winner for Best Comedy is Kaguya-sama.
All right. I don't think Kaguya is a big surprise. I think most of us adore this show. Could you let me know exactly what separates it from other comedies or other nominees on the list?
I guess something that I think a big strength for Kaguya is that it takes a very, very specific cliche that you get a ton of anime about, you know, rom-coms or just romance anime in general, where the main characters can't confess their feelings to each other. That's what Kaguya is all about. But the way they execute that, just the way they present the whole show, I think that's what sets it above everything else, because it's just so well done. It has such an amazing cast of characters. I mean, lots of these shows actually have really great casts, but I don't know, like the duo, the main couple of Kaguya is amazing, and then you bring in the side characters that just take it to another level.
How do you guys feel about people calling it the Death Note of rom-coms? I mean, what does that even mean?
I don't know, man.
Okay, well,
that sounds fucking big brain. I'll say that.
I've heard it multiple times and I still don't know what it means.
It sounds like they were like, this is vaguely like some other show that I've seen because I've seen 50 anime, so I'm gonna make this comparison kind of thing.
Okay. I guess you could call it a deconstruction, huh?
Oh yeah. God.
Okay, but what I also wanted to ask you about Machikado, which placed second by the jury, and I see in chat a lot of people are actually disappointed that it didn't win.
Here's the thing. Here's the funny thing about Machikado. I actually dropped it halfway through because I didn't like it very much.
What did you like about it?
I just didn't think it was all that funny. Honestly, it's like, the thing is, it's not something that I would say is a bad show by any means. I thought that the two girls were fun. Well, they were all right. Like, I didn't dislike them. They were cute, great designs. I just didn't laugh at it. It's like if someone came up to me and said that Machikado is my favorite show, how dare you say that? I'd be like, yeah, okay, I get why you like it. It's a cute slice of life.
I see a lot of kick Moz in the chat right now.
I mean, I don't.
Wow.
Why not?
All right, and any last minute thoughts?
Isekai Quartet is the biggest piece of shit I have ever seen. It makes me actively want to die. I hate anime.
Oh, I just want to say, watch School Rumble. It's the best rom-com ever. That's all.
I have heard that. That's on the list actually.
By the way, I just want to just say, Wilson, great job with the live stream and all, but the guy that's reading off the nominations sounds like a total nerd. Hate him.
I mean, it's the only person we could get a last minute's notice, and
oh damn, you had to get like some amateur to do it. Like,
yeah, but it's okay. We'll make do. Here to explain the jury process is Ralon. Hi, Ralon.
Hello.
Hi. Can you explain how the jury process went? Was it a hard choice? Was it big contentious picks?
Yeah, I think it was. I don't think it was a difficult process necessarily, because we liked some of their own favorites. So we had people that were big Kaguya fans, big Machikado fans, mostly down the list. So it just came down to what had the most support and where we sort of shuffled things around in the final discussion.
Okay. And what? Do you also hate Isekai Quartet as much as Moz does?
I think that Isekai Quartet got in because it comes from a lot of popular shows, and I think that the merits of the show itself don't quite match up to the shows that the characters are from. I get the idea, and I certainly found lots of it funny, but I think I'm just glad that the public put it 7th too, so I didn't feel like I was completely out of touch.
I'm confused as to why the public would put Dumbbell last.
Me too. I thought it was widely popular, right?
Yeah,
that is interesting to me too, because it was popular with the public, and even though it wasn't my favorite thing, we had several people in the jury that really loved it. So I really don't know.
Okay.
Maybe we were thinking too much about the comedy itself instead of the show.
Maybe.
Perhaps.
All right, and just to leave you guys off, I have a very important question I need to answer. Someone asked, who is Becker's profile picture? That is Cece from Code Geass.
There are people in 2020 that know that
It's
don't
hard
know
to
what
believe.
Code Geass is.
Don't know who Cece is and don't know who
That's
Kreyas
so
is.
sad.
Okay, anyway.
No, she's drawn as like not a Rumiko, but a Rama 1/2 character, so that's probably why it looks different.
Oh,
That
I
would
see.
make sense.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Not like people know what that is.
I was like, beyond the green hair, I don't see it.
Anyway, thank y'all for coming by, and have a good day.
All right, see ya.
All right, we're gonna move on to best drama. So for best drama, our guest is Under the Scope. They unfortunately couldn't be here. They were planning to, but they had a last minute thing. But they were kind enough to pre-record their segment for us. So without further ado.
Hello, thank you for having me. Honestly, I'm thrilled you gave me my 2 favorite genres to present here. So many of my all-time favorites come from drama and slice of life, or a combination of both. This past year had a lot to offer with drama, as you could make a case for any number of great works, ranging from standout sports series to franchise films, and some of anime's biggest names like Hosoda and Ikuhara. Here are the nominees for Best Drama of 2019.
Beastars, Orange. Mirai no Mirai, Studio Chizu. Rascal does not dream of a dreaming girl. Cloverworks. Sarazamba, Mappa and Lappin Track. Fruits Basket, 2019. TMS Entertainment. Tsurune, Kazemite High School Archery Club. Kyoto Animation. Run with the Wind. Production IG. Oko's Inn. Madhouse.
We have a sweep, as the winner of both the jury and the public is Beastars.
So while I think this isn't exactly a really surprising result, it's especially not surprising for you, because Beastars also won in your awards. Twice, even. Can you briefly reiterate your thoughts, as if trying to convince someone on the fence? And then just quick thoughts on the rest of the nominees. Do any of them stand out to you as being notable?
I can't say I'm surprised Beastars took both awards here, not just because I picked it as well, but its evocative writing and inventive visuals really showcase the powerful storytelling anime is capable of. Because Netflix picked it up, it still hasn't released in the West, so I'm sure that means a lot of people watching haven't seen it yet. To those of you whose only exposure to Beastars is furry jokes and maybe the OP, the series runs much deeper than just that. Framing pertinent social issues facing us today through a world where the divide between predator and prey infects all levels of its society, Beastars follows a meek, gray wolf trying to break away from the role that's expected of him. What sort of relationship can a predator have with his prey? From the unique production of Studio Orange to Satoru Kosaki's jazzy soundtrack, Beastars is a complete package. With Season 2 already confirmed, I can't wait to see where the story goes next. And while Beastars deservedly led the pack here, there was no shortage of great choices in the drama category. Looking at the nominees, Tsurune from KyoAni started the year off with its best string of episodes, offering a cathartic conclusion to its main character arc. Fruits Basket got the Brotherhood treatment, establishing just how timeless this classic shoujo can be in its first season. Run with the Wind was among my favorite shows of the year, and Sada Zanmai had some of the most interesting character writing, buried within Kunihiko Ikuhara's unusual flair. And those are just the TV series. All in all, I don't think you could go wrong with several of these choices, but I'm glad to see Beastars get its due. Hopefully this just convinces those of you who haven't seen it to put it at the top of your priority list when Netflix drops it on March 13th.
Hopefully it does. And I like the shilling for Netflix there. Here to explain just how the jury went is Unexpected Wolf, who is very much expected now.
Yeah, expected to be the grumpy one here. How you doing?
Wait, why would you be grumpy?
Well, let's not get into that.
Okay. Can you explain just how a jury process went? Was it easy? Was it hard?
So I would say that was the most interesting category out of the ones I was in, because there wasn't very much consensus on anything. Just to illustrate this, out of our 10-person jury, we've each selected 7 different first place shows as our first place.
So, oh wow!
Like Beastars winning wasn't. I mean, it was. You could see it coming based on not just first places but overall perception. But it wasn't a sweep. And basically everything from like 2nd to 7th place could have been different with just 1 vote. They were like really, really close. But to get slightly before that, even our nominations process was like the most contentious moment, because there were people who wanted some different shows, just name 2, that and Legend of the Galactic Heroes were somewhat close to making it instead of some of the other ones.
What made it
but there were also... Sorry?
What made it instead of Legend of Galactic Heroes?
Well, the thing is that it isn't really that clear either, because basically when we were finalizing nominations, some people even wanted to just just make it like 5 or 6 spots and not even use the other 2. So basically everyone had a different idea. But just looking at the bottom of the list, you can probably guess which ones are there.
Okay. Well, thanks for letting us know about the jury, and I hope you have a good day. Alright, we're going to go ahead and move on to Best Romance. Our guest for Best Romance is Isla Mctear. Once again, she couldn't make it here today, but she did a pre-recorder segment so that we could enjoy. So let's enjoy.
Regardless of the year, or time, or season, I always seek out romance. In my anime, not in my personal life. That sounds complex, yet the romance genre is never an easy one. After all, love is war, love is war, love is war, wouldn't you say? But even Love Detective Chika wouldn't be able to sort out the harem that Usugi found himself in during the quintessential quintuplets. And that theme of sisterly love continued in Domestic Girlfriend. They really ramped up the angst in a way that no other anime could come close to. Unless you're gonna talk about We Never Learn, which is a contender in this category, don't get me wrong, but not because of what happened on the show, more as in how they closed out this harem. I'm under strict obligation not to talk about it, for fear of wrath from manga fans. Speaking of manga fans, it feels good that the beloved shoujo Fruits Basket is finally getting the complete adaptation it deserves, and that High Score Girl and Takagi-san reached the high heights in their tales. Yeah, we really didn't deserve them to be locked up in Netflix jail now, did we? Salt aside, we were given a welcomed breath of fresh air for the yaoi genre in the anime sphere. A breath shared with O Maidens in Your Savage Season, which embodies the very essence of the oh-so-complex idea of love. Giving us a high school story focused on sex, but not sex appeal. Now let's focus back in on that genre that I seek. Romance wasn't the be-all and end-all for the end of the decade. However, whether you like wondering about the location of your teachers, or writing shorthand confessions, there was a little bit of love to be had and shared during 2019.
Best Romance. O Maidens in Your Savage Season. Les Deuce. Domestic Nakanojo. Diomedia. Given. Lurch. High Score Girl 2. JC Staff. The Quintessential Quintuplets. Tezuka Productions. Monaria Friends. Cygames Pictures. Skill Teaser Takagi-san, Season 2. Shine Animation. Senryu Shoujo. Connect.
Your public and jury winner for Best Romance of 2019 is O Maidens in Your Savage Season.
So, Mari Okada is probably one of the most recognizable writers in anime. In fact, she might be the only one that people have the highest chance of knowing of. How much of Mari Okada and her, say, mannerisms can you see in something like Araburu? Or can you at all?
I think Araburu could have only been written by Mari Okada. Her style's adaptable for sure, she's wrote plenty of shows and a few of them in different genres, but Araburu feels like it's her baby. I mean, she did write the manga after all, but it encompasses this one particular trait that Okada is so specifically good at: writing for youth. And in this show she captures what it's like to be a young, not so adult, battling with some pretty adult desires. And I'll be honest with you because I feel like it would be wrong if I wasn't. There were some elements of Araburu that made me feel very uncomfortable. If you've seen the show, you'll probably know what I mean by that. But to give it praise where praise is due, and it does deserve some praise, it was really interesting to watch a high school anime focused on girls discovering their sexuality and sexual identity. And that very thing is something I feel only Okada could do.
Given was one of those shows that got recommended to me a lot, but I just never had time to pick it up. Do you have any thoughts on it?
Given is to Yaoi what Bloomin' to you is to Yuri. When it comes to manga, there are plenty of great boys' love series, but that's kind of lacking in the anime department. And then we get Given, which is so beautifully raw and honest and open, and the relationships created in the show feel so tangibly real that as they develop you can't help but fall into them too. It was a really lovely show. Although as a side note, it has one of the best confession scenes in recent memory, so I think it's worth watching for that moment alone.
And finally, Domestic Nakanojo is kind of a surprise high placement by the jury, don't you think? I mean, from all I've heard about it is that it's just basically the definition of trashy. Why do you think they liked it so much?
I'm going to be 100% honest with you. We had some amazing anime air in 2019, really top tier stuff. Mob Psycho 100, mwah, love it. Vinland Saga, mwah, great. Attack on Titan, Sarazanmai, all of it, great, wonderful stuff. But I'd watch Domestic Girlfriend over all of them. It was filled with degeneracy and angst that just increased week after week after week after week. But it became impossible to look away from, even if I was looking through the slits of my fingers most of the time. You just wanted to know what was going to happen next because everything that happened just felt so unbelievable. Yet the journey was really enjoyable, and once you're on the train, it's impossible to get off of it. Although, as a caveat to that, maybe it ranks so highly because it has one of the best opening songs of 2019.
She might be right. Here to join us from the jury to explain their process is Animestuck. Hello, how are you?
Hi, how's it going?
Hi, you need some water there?
Yeah, sorry.
No, you're good. Can you explain how the jury process went?
Sorry. So the jury process, I mean, we had so few nominees to start with, really, that it kind of we at first weren't too sure how many things we were going to nominate. We were kind of stuck We were kind of stuck waiting on other categories to see what all we would nominate. Because we had a lot more secondaries than primaries, but of the primaries, we were kind of sure which ones we wanted most of the way through. I think there was also some talk about not nominating anything, cutting certain things, but overall we had some specific things that we wanted to nominate, and Domekano was absolutely one of them.
Was the reasoning like what Isla just said? It's kind of like guilty pleasure popcorn. You want to look away but you can't kind of thing, or what was the reasoning behind it placing third?
Well, there some people it was kind of just it was an enjoyable show, and we tended to lean towards we wanted to nominate things that that we enjoyed, but also I think that a lot of people got a decent amount out of the show. I mean, there were write-ups that talked about the particular relationships and how it presented them, and them just particularly connecting or finding strengths in those relationships and how they worked within the show.
All right, sounds good. Well, thank you for coming by.
Thank you very much.
All right, moving on to Best Slice of Life. The guest for Slice of Life is Under the Scope once again.
Slice of life is always a favorite genre of mine. It can capture a feeling, an atmosphere, a connection in the simplest yet most lifelike ways that really resonates with me. From cute girls doing cute things to isekai, 2019 had quite the range of options, showing just how much of a catch-all slice of life can be. The nominees are
Best Slice of Life: Ascendance of a Bookworm, Ajiado. Enduro, Studio Gokumi. The Helpful Fox Senko-san, Doga Kobo. Natsume Yujincho, movie, Shuka. Miru Tights, Yokohama Animation Lab. Non Non Biori movie, Vacation, Silverlink. My Roommate is a Cat, 0G. Yulu Yuli, comma, Les Deuce.
Your public winner for Best Slice of Life 2019 is Ascendance of a Bookworm. And the jury chose Non Non Biori Vacation.
You're 2 for 2 in these awards. You gave Bookworm Best Isekai in the UTS Awards. What led you to this decision, and what makes it unique compared to other isekai?
I'm so happy to see Bookworm win here. The fact it's even considered for Slice of Life makes it different from most other isekai, where the stories are often more action and fantasy oriented. But Bookworm belongs here. This isn't a hero's quest to beat the Demon King, rather a precocious young girl trying to carve out a life for herself in an unfamiliar world. Mine is such an endearing lead. Her passion is infectious, and she wears her heart on her sleeve, which sometimes gets her into trouble when she lets on more than she should. Like Beastars, I'm happy to see it's getting a second season, especially after the first expanded the world a bit in its final run. I certainly can't fault the jury selection either. Non Non Biori feels like an understated icon of modern slice of life. I don't see it passed around in conversation too much across the community, yet it stacks up with the best of them, representing exactly what makes this specific brand of the genre so popular. Much like one of my all-time favorites in K-On!, it builds its relationships through the everyday antics of its leads, inviting you into this group dynamic. For the longest time, it's been a major black mark on my Slice of Life fan card. Hearing the high praise from the judges only offers more proof it deserves its place among the best.
You gave My Roommate is a Cat Best Slice of Life in your awards. I'm curious, was the main appeal of the show Subaru for you, or did you find Haru more compelling?
I was happy to see My Roommate is a Cat get a nomination as well. Along with Bookworm, this was one of the year's strongest pleasant surprises for me. It's not so much I connected more with Subaru or Haru, but how both of their perspectives played off each other and came together. Watching the world through the mind of a cat will always entertain, but the show really showcases the bond of a pet, how they truly become part of your family and home. I'm an animal person, so seeing that lovingly recreated here was a delight.
I'm a cat person as well, so I get what you're saying. And well, I want to thank you so much for coming on. I know it's your first year here. People probably know who you are by now, but just in case, did you want to let them know exactly where they can find you at?
Thanks again for having me. If you want to hear more of my takes, you can check out my YouTube channel, Under the Scope, where we recently just posted our own 2019 Anime Awards show that, much like this, was a labor of love. You can also follow me on Twitter at JackUTS, where I'll be shitposting and retweeting fan art. Enjoy the rest of the show.
Thanks, I hope you do. Here to talk about the jury process is Mr. Jaguar. Hi, how are you?
Hey, I'm happy to be here. I'll be honest, I'm very shocked by the differences between the public and jury rankings.
Are you shocked though?
Well, not shocked, but I didn't expect the massive differences, especially between
Alright, we're losing Jag. Okay, there you
are. Sorry, that might cut out there. I wasn't really shocked, but more of it's just quite a feeling to see them have a completely different ranking from us, which is completely different from all the previously different categories. But there's a lot to unpack. Where do you want me to start?
I mean, just let me know how jury went. Was it a good time? Was it a bad time?
Well, there were a lot of nominations to go through. We were definitely kind of salty at Comedy for taking a lot of our favorite picks, such as Machigado and Dumbbell. However, there was a lot to choose from. Several had to we had to cut out stuff like sorry, let me just.
You're good.
Stuff like Stars Align, Rilakuma, Wada 10, Manaria Friends, I went to Romance, Kanagawa Jet Girls, and Love Live Sunshine Movie.
But all in all, you feel pretty good about your nominations?
Yeah, we're all very good with our nominations. Is there anything you'd want to discuss?
I mean, like, how did Mirror Tights, which is a short for people who are really into tights, make it above Senko-san, which is pretty beloved? I mean, jury placed it third, so.
Alright, something to say about Mirror Tights? We took it very seriously. We discussed it very, very heavily. But unfortunately, we just couldn't, we just don't think it beat out all the other nominations. We believe it did what it set out to do, just not as good as how other nominations did their job.
Okay, I think that's fair. Well, thank you so much for stopping by.
No problem.
All right, and just to clarify one thing, it is not technically Yuri Kama, it is Yuri 10, which is the anniversary OVA, just to clarify. But we're gonna move on to Best Thriller Mystery. Our guest for Best Thriller Mystery is Arkada, or Glass Reflection.
Thriller and mystery is a category that almost feels secondary. The very fact that these two very different genres are smashed together into one category is proof enough. But despite this, the narratives contained herein are the ones that keep us at the edge of our seat, keep us guessing, and hopefully give us a payoff at the end to make it all worth it. Though this is not always the case, as select entries will prove. This year, the category was surprisingly filled with many sequels and continuations, all worthy entries to their respective franchises, though the standalone shows were no slouch either. So, without further ado, let's have a look at the nominees for Best Thriller and Mystery.
Best Thriller Mystery. Attack on Titan, Season 3, Part 2. Wit Studio. Penguin Highway, Studio Colorido. Fate Stay Night, Heaven's Feel 2, Lost Butterfly. UFO Table. The Promised Neverland, Cloverworks. Zoku Owari Monogatari, Shaft.
Hi, Arkada.
Oh, hey there.
When you're ready.
So your public and jury winner for best thriller/mystery is Attack on Titan, Season 3, Part 2. Because that's a mouthful.
It really is. Not really a surprise, is it?
No, not at all.
Okay, so what I wanted to ask you is, first, so we have a kind of a flex system when it comes to nominations. Basically, the jury can choose not to use all 4 of their slots if they don't think it's worth it. Do you agree with their decision not to use their slots? And if so, why?
Like I don't know necessarily. So I thought of like 2 shows that aren't on this list that could have been, but then at the same time, I don't care enough about either of them to have actually ranked. So one was Boogie Pop and Friends, which I know has a very vocal and passionate fan base ever since the days of Boogie Pop Phantom way back in the day. The other one was the Case Files of Lord El Malloy, which was the other Fate series from 2019. But despite actually being a mystery series, that was not a good mystery series at all.
Okay, so I mean, from what it sounds like you're kind of on the side of the jury, to be honest, because the jury, what they cited is that they didn't feel that the shows past this, there was like a large gap between those, and therefore they didn't think they should nominate extra shows.
I guess so, but then at the same time, like looking at, well, okay, so like looking at this category specifically, it's annoying because it's like 2 different genres, so you need to like compare them, even though I don't really think that they should be compared. So I don't agree with the fact that Promised Neverland is like 5th in the jury rankings at all, like at all. But then it's just a matter of like how the jury feels about it and whether they put more emphasis on like thriller or
well,
mystery.
let's ask them. Rusty, why is Promised Neverland 5th? And also, just to clarify,
Promised Neverland we put in 5th because we felt it had a lot of questionable production decisions, particularly when it came to the soundtrack. There is a very strong scene, I believe it was in episode 3, where there's a chase sequence with the children and Crone. It's supposed to be a very tense chase sequence, but they overlaid it with a very odd jazz soundtrack. And it was just absurd. Why did they make it so upbeat? It's supposed to be a terrifying scene.
So you're telling me that the reason it's placed so low is mostly due to production things?
Production, it's not just the soundtrack. There was also cinematography it was either fantastic or absolutely terrible. You had some scenes where it seemed like someone was watching the kids as they were in hallways, peeking around corners. And then you had other scenes where it's just, I don't know how else to describe it, but they're just overlaid against a static background. Speaking of, the backgrounds were terrible.
I mean, a lot of them are CGI, I think, right?
I'm just hearing all these things and I'm like, okay, I see where you're coming from. I don't agree.
And we...
Not at all.
Hey, that's all we're hoping for, okay? Mutual disagreement.
That said, we did really like the story, the overall mystery. Isabella was one of our favorite characters in the entire category. Yeah. Going back to what you said, Kamimashita, we didn't feel justified putting any other nominees below it. Grand Belm, Astra, Boogie Pop. Yeah, we gave Promised Neverland 5th, but the fact that it ended up 5th above so much other stuff speaks to how much we did like it.
Yeah, it's top 5 of the year, so.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions for Rusty Arkada?
No, most of my questions was like roughly about like why other things weren't like nominated. So is there Is there like a specific reason things like Pokepop weren't on the list? Or was it just a matter of no, we didn't feel like it was as good as these top 5, and we didn't want to like tarnish the category or however?
Yeah, none of the shows really had strong enough support by anyone. Random in particular, 2 people watched it. Almost everyone else dropped it to start with. We all ended up watching it to end with, but we didn't think it was good enough to pick on. Astra was a wild one because the tone just kind of goes all over the place. Very bad plot twists. Boogie Pop, we were not fan of how it aired out of chronological order.
Okay, I mean, it looks like you got your reasons, but thank you so much for coming by, and I hope you all have a good day.
You too.
Thanks for having us.
No problem. And Arkada, where can people find you if they want to see more of your content?
If for whatever reason they decided that they did, I am on Glass Reflection for both YouTube and Twitter. Thank you very much.
No problem. Bye. All right, that concludes the genre awards. So for now, we're just going to take a very, very quick intermission, maybe just like 2 to 5 minutes, and I'll be back, okay? So don't leave. And we're back, just in time for the character awards. Okay, so our first category is Best Supporting Character in a Comedic Role. These, we actually don't have time for to do a full category, so I'm just going to go ahead and announce the results. So out of these characters, Ai Hayasaka is your winner for Best Supporting Character in a Comedic Role by both the public and the jury. And for Best Supporting Character in a Dramatic Role, here are your winners. That is not, that's Erwin Smith. That's not Ai Hayasaka, by the way. Anyway, it's gonna move on to Best Main Dramatic. Our guests for Best Main Dramatic in a Character Role are Shocking and FateSteelTaylor. They're both from the RMA podcast, and Shocking is a mod on our anime. Let's let them take it away.
Shaw, come on, hurry up. We're gonna be late for the Anime Awards, the objectively best anime awards of the year.
Fate, come down. We're gonna be right on time. You know, you really need to stop being so dramatic.
Me? Psh, I've never been dramatic in my entire existence.
That's a big doubt. Big
No,
doubt.
No, you know what? I've always known. Always know what you really are, Shaw.
What?
A genuinely main dramatic guy.
Oh, that's so sweet. You know, I really feel like the rightful king of being dramatic.
Not only are you the rightful Shaw king of being dramatic,
Got him.
if being dramatic wasn't in, you would run the place. Also, you're kind of a furry now.
I am not a furry. I just like the characters. Besides, at least I'm not watching a magical girl show made for kids.
Whoa. That is not just petty. That is not pretty. Excuse me.
It is a sincerely made show
with heart that they take a lot of care for, okay? It helps cure you.
Well, you know, I guess there's only one way to find out the best main way of being dramatic.
Well, you're not going to hear it from you. So, without further ado, from Vikings to magical girls to psychics to furries.
Here are your nominees for Best Main Character in a Dramatic Role.
Best Main Character in a Dramatic Role: Alataka Reagan, Mob Psycho 100, 2. Emiru Aisaki, Hugto Precure. Ashalad, Vinland Saga. Oko, Oko's Inn. Legoshi, Beastars. Rika Sonezaki, O Maidens in Your Savage Season. Shigeo Kageyama, Mob Psycho 100, 2. Lulu Amor, Hugto Precure.
マスターでないのなら命令に従う義務はないはずです。
Hey, Shaw.
Hey, and the public winner for Best Main Character in a Dramatic Role is Ashalad. And the jury choice is Arataka Reagan.
What do you think?
Well, I really like these outcomes. I like that it's not a sweep. I think Ashalad is essentially, kind of character of the year. I think everyone really loves him. But, Reagan is also, one of the best characters of the year as well. I really like what we got to see with him in this season of Mob Psycho. So, good results all around.
All right. And let me just bring in the jury real quick. And we can talk with them. Hi, Gok.
Hey.
Hey, can you explain how the jury process went real quick? Can you explain how the jury process? Okay.
Okay, I can hear you now.
Okay.
Well, the jury was very contentious this year.
Really?
Hmm.
What was the most thing that what was the thing that you fought about mostly?
Well, we fought mostly over, I think, honestly, the top two there, Askeladd and Reagan. It was a tough choice between them.
Okay, and I have to give Shaw like a chance to dunk on you. Legacy, second to last.
I'm expecting it.
Shaw, can you let him know what you think about that?
So interestingly enough, I think Legacy in second to last is kind of ridiculous, but I'm just shocked that Reagan is number one and then Mob in last place. That's just kind of confusing. I'd love to hear more on that.
Well, let's see. So, no one really disliked Mob. We all felt he was a decent protagonist. But he just, I guess it's more of, he faced some really stiff competition. And I know there was some people in the jury that felt he was a little too preachy. I don't necessarily agree with that, but
yeah. Well, I think that's a fair reasoning. You're the messenger. We can't shoot the messenger. I think it's interesting to call Mob preachy when we have two Precure characters in here, but everyone is pretty good. I just saw Oko's in recently. She's a good character as well. So
she's such a good character. The only
really
reason
like
she's
her.
Eighth Republic is because they haven't seen it. I promise.
Yeah, I agree. But sometimes that's how the cookie crumbles. But
Okay, Walter
the winners are
Cronkite.
both good.
Okay. Well, thank y'all for coming
it was
by,
a
and
tough choice all around.
appreciate having you on.
Thank you.
That was best main character in a dramatic role. And yeah, that's Askeladd, not Ai Hayasaka. Anyway, moving on to best main comedic. Our guest for best main comedic is once again kaverik.
Being funny is an art on its own. Almost every company has that one adorable goofball who is able to easily elate entire group with a few witty remarks or silly gestures. It is especially hard to make love those who you do not see personally, and these anime characters tried their best to impress the viewers with their performance. Here are your nominees for Best Main Character in a Comedic Role in 2019.
Best Main Character in a Comedic Role: Chika Fujiwara, Kaguya-sama, Love is War. Natsume Koshigaya, Non Non Biori, Vacation. Hitoribochi no Maru Maru Seikatsu. Renge Miyauchi, Non Non Biori, Vacation. Kaguya Shinomiya, Kaguya-sama, Love is War. Tsunao Nako, Hitoribochi no Maru Maru Seikatsu. Senku Ishigami, Dr. Stone. Yuko Yoshida, Shamiko. Machikado Mazoku.
And the winner from both the public and the jury is Chika Fujiwara.
Not a big surprise here either, right? Not really a big surprise, huh?
It's not. I mean, I think it's just between Chika and Kaguya.
So I was looking at the public percentages. Chika and Kaguya, they were less than like 1 percentage point away. It's insane to me. Yeah. What do you think is like the appeal of them compared to everyone else?
So I agree with the speaks, first of all, and I believe Kaguya has been by far the strongest comedy of the year. So no wonder that the main characters from the series got the awards all themselves. So yeah, I love Chika a bit more personally, so I agree. But that's mostly because I'm a big fan of Yankee characters, energetic characters who have this very peculiar sense of humor. And that ramen episode was just brilliant, really. I loved it.
No, definitely. Okay, here to explain how the jury went is Freohr. Hi, Freohr.
Hello.
Hi, can you explain how the jury process went?
Yeah, jury process was mostly smooth, I feel like. The top couple picks, I think, were probably mostly set in stone from the beginning, to be honest. Chika is... There's pretty much no one you're going to find who doesn't like Chika. So that's part of it, but also she just plays a really important role in breaking up kind of the standard formula in Kaguya. Yuko in Machikado as well was a really, really important piece of that show. Like, she's the complete focus of pretty much everything in the show, and she's adorable and funny, and she was definitely one of the top contenders. I would have loved to see her in first even, but I know those top couple spots were definitely all in contention.
And if you're gonna lose to anyone, like losing to Chika is no big deal, right?
Yeah, you could do worse.
And any questions, Cav, you have for Freohr?
I just have one question, I guess. I'm a bit upset that there is no Tanaka Baka from Wasteful Days of High School Girls. I guess there was no space for him here, right?
So we definitely talked about Baka. The jury was super split on her because she is kind of a total annoying person.
A Baka?
And I love that. I think she's super important to the show. She produces a lot of comedy by being a complete idiot. But some people definitely didn't agree with that and thought that her role kind of when she was being her idiot self was when they liked the show the least. So that's why she was definitely on the outer edge, I think, of people we were considering to put in here. But she didn't make the cut, I think, mostly because...
Mostly because of what?
Because of there was a real extreme split between most of the jury, between people who liked her. I mean, I might have been most of it, to be honest, but who liked her for the role she plays in being a total idiot. But some people found that a little bit grating, and I can see why, for sure. But yeah, she just didn't make it there.
Well, thank you both. Okay, moving on from Best Main Character in a Comedic Role is Best Antagonist. Let's see. It actually is showing on the stream this time, so that's good. Alright, here you go with Shocking once again.
Every show has to have an endgame. This endgame comes in the form of an opposing force that pressures the protagonist to fight against opposing ideals that reveal the true nature of their character. This opposing force is the series antagonist. A good story needs a good antagonist, for a protagonist and their story can only be as fascinating and emotionally compelling as the forces of antagonism that drives them. This year we experienced a wide range of antagonism, from larger-than-life Vikings to abusive family members. Here are your nominees for Best Antagonist.
Best Antagonist: Ashala, Vinland Saga. Akito Soma, Fruits Basket, 2019. Diavolo, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, Part 5, Golden Wind. Keiji Mogami, Mob Psycho 100, 2. Isabella, The Promised Neverland. Muzan Kibutsuji, Demon Slayer, Kimetsu no Yaiba. Zeke, the Beast Titan. Attack on Titan, Season 3, Part 2. Thorkel, Vinland Saga.
And your public and jury winner for Best Antagonist is Ashalad. Let's go.
So it's a sweep, but I think it's a kind of a good sweep, right?
Yeah, you could say that we saved anime with this pick.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, why do you think it makes Ascalad? People are making fun of Maz. It's Ashalad?
It's Ashalad because his name means Ashlad because when he was a kid, he was a bastard. So, like, you know, boy of ashes.
Ashlad.
So, yeah, because it's not actually like a name given to them. So it's more of like a nickname for like a poor kid.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, what do you think? Why is he so good?
You know, I said it before. I do feel like he's kind of character of the year. We got to see his full character arc in, you know, this only season of Vinland Saga thus far. And he's a really interesting character because he's really an antagonist in name only. He really doesn't feel like a bad guy. He's just really out there with his own motives and his own goals. And he has some of the best fuck you moments of all time. Like when he gets to just destroy, you know, all of the people who he fought with. And then when he did some things in the last episode that a lot of people are hyped on. Don't want to spoil that, but you know, he really does feel like a king, and it was great witnessing him firsthand.
Yeah, what I love about him is that even though he does feel like not like a real antagonist, he also is just like a giant dick a lot of the time. So it's kind of hard to balance between like, you know, this character who's like really multifaceted and has all these like motivations and stuff, and then like that like really dark side of him that comes out every now and then.
Yeah, and the funny part too is like he doesn't really want to antagonize Thorfinn. Thorfinn just kind of chooses him to be his antagonist.
Yeah.
You know, Ashalad's kind of like, I'm just out here chilling, and Thorfinn's like, no, I gotta fight you. And he's like, you know, if you want, but you gotta do all this shit first.
All right, here to explain how the jury process went is Lenlo. Hi, Lenlo. How are you today?
Hey, Wilson. Thanks for having me.
No problem. Just go ahead and take it away.
Sure thing. So, as you probably expected, Askeladd and Isabella were pretty much locked in for first and second place from the beginning. Everyone loved her. The only real argument was if Askeladd was even an antagonist or not, or a protagonist or a deuteragonist. But no one ever questioned the actual quality of his character. So once he got in, it was a pretty easy choice.
Yeah, I like how you guys have Isabella second. Sorry to interrupt. Because I know a lot of people were mad when she won at the Crunchyroll Awards, but I really do feel like they're two of the best antagonists this year. So it's cool that I do agree that she's behind Ashalad, but it's cool to see her get recognition in some form as well.
Yeah, we quite liked her. A lot of the actual antagonist focus this year was on more psychologically focused antagonists. Because physically, Isabella is one of the least threatening characters on this list. She can't hurt you, she can't throw boulders, she can't run a sword through you, but when your main characters are children, you don't have to be a physical threat to them. And so it was a very interesting dichotomy there.
Now, what I really want to ask you is, Torkel is third? I'm being completely sincere here. I didn't know that you had placed him third. I think to a lot of people, he's just kind of this like, he comes in like kind of later in the story, and he doesn't really do anything but be this like really big boss for Thorfinn to fight. Why is he so high?
So, at least as far as I go, one of the reasons I love Thorkel is that he's a fantastic foil to Thorfinn as a character, as Thorfinn values the Viking ideals, and as does Thorkel, but Thorkel is a character that he despises for what he has become. And it's sort of a dark look into Thorfinn's future as a character if he continues the way he's going. And I personally found the way that played in to Vinland Saga's themes as a whole and his own progression as a character was fascinating.
I think that's a good point. What do you think, Shaw?
Yeah, I couldn't have said it better. That was very nicely put. I think he's very interesting. He almost feels like that chaotic neutral character who just kind of shows up and messes things up because it's entertaining for them. But, you know, he does highlight a lot of the interesting themes. And, you know, I think his confusion over what it means to be like a true warrior is something interesting. That's an interesting thematic point throughout the series. So Lenlo really said it the best. He is a really interesting antagonist for the series.
Nice. Well, thank y'all for coming by. I really appreciate it. All right, bye-bye.
Bye, thanks.
All right, that's Best Antagonist. Moving on to Best Cast. Guest for Best Cast is Kamimashita. Oh, that's me! If an anime wants you to get interested in its story, it has to get you invested in its characters. Getting an entire cast right is a difficult task that involves balancing screen time, building character dynamics, and forging believable relationships. The shows in this category reach across the spectrum in terms of personality, substance, and size. From small focus casts like Kaguya-sama's to the entire crew of the space battleship Yamato, the characters are the most direct connection we have to the story. Your nominees for Best Cast of 2019 are...
Best Cast: Attack on Titan Season 3, Part 2. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Part 5, Golden Wind. Kaguya-sama, Love is War. Kono Oto Tomare. Mob Psycho 100. 2.
ローストビーフばっか食うなよモヒカン。一人3枚までだからな。
Run with the Wind.
箱根の山は天下の剣。
Vinland Saga.
世から何からアシェラッドに見抜かれてら。この二人相当やってんな。決闘の理由は
Uchu Senkan Yamato 2202.
私とっくに幸せだよ。
Your public winner for Best Cast of 2019 is Kaguya-sama, Love is War. And the jury winner is Run with the Wind. Here to join me from the jury is the Eggman. Hello, the Eggman. How are you doing?
I'm doing great.
Is it the Eggman or thy Eggman?
Thy Eggman.
Thy Egg. Okay, it's like as if you're the god of eggs.
As if I were an old-timey English speaker.
Okay. Well, can you explain to me how the jury process went and what you were focusing on when evaluating these casts?
So pretty much from the beginning, Run with the Wind was the standout among the nominees. When we did the vote, it easily beat out the rest of the nominees. Similarly, it took a little bit longer for people to come around on Kono Oto, but it was solidly in second.
Would you say that Kono Oto just pretends to be bad?
Yes, I did watch your video on your YouTube channel, and it does start off pretty rough, and it did take a while for jurors to come around on it, and especially because we're evaluating both seasons here, the second season improved a lot.
Okay, fair. I'll take a second place.
Yeah. As far as the rest of the nominees go, third, fourth, and fifth, Kaguya-sama, JoJo's, and Vinland Saga were very close. Each of them in our voting lost in certain pairings with each other, so that was a very tight portion of our vote.
Okay, and I just wanted to ask, what do you think about Kaguya-sama drew the public to it so much? Is it cohesion? Is it just how fantastic the characters are by themselves?
The cast is actually very tight-knit and pretty well developed, but it wasn't a big enough cast, really. Not that a small cast is a bad thing, but we focus so much on the protagonists that we don't have enough time for some of the side characters in some instances. Like Ishigami is introduced like halfway through the season, for example.
Oh, I see. Okay, well, thank you so much for coming by to explain.
No problem.
All right, and that does it for our character categories. We will take another brief intermission, again, just like 2 to 5 minutes, and we'll be right back. So stay tuned. All right, and we're back. Now, before we continue, I want to take a quick moment in solidarity. Earlier last year, Japan suffered the deadliest massacre in the country since World War II. This alone is an atrocious tragedy, but in addition to that, the victims were members of one of the community's most beloved studios, Kyoto Animation. I think we should take a moment of silence to reflect upon the incident, but not about the horrendous actions taken by the perpetrator. Rather, the outpouring of support that came as a result. The second the news broke, fans jumped at the opportunity to help in any way they could, setting up crowdfunding, sending messages of condolence, and even selling out KyoAni's online merch store. We will always keep in our hearts the 36 people that died that day, but also the fact that the community so completely rejected the hatred that led up to this tragic incident. Instead, a community that is so often divided came together to embrace love. Please keep in mind that both Kyoto Animation as well as the animation industry as a whole still require our support. But for now, let us reflect. The other day, I actually went to see the new Violet Evergarden movie, and I stayed for the credits, and a lot of the names that came by jumped out to me that were on this list. It just goes to show that that these are real people behind the anime we make. Continue on to the production awards. All right, quickly, we're going to do the Best Background Art Award. Now, this is actually a really popular award that I actually didn't realize. However, there's not much to talk about when it comes to background, so I'm just going to announce it. So your winner for Best Background Art of 2019 is Vinland Saga for the public and Zoku Owari Monogatari for the jury. And just to show you some examples, here you go. These are Vinland's. This was actually collated by someone in the background voting thread. And let's see if I can get their name. Elucidate That. So thank you so much for putting this together and showing us just how amazing the artwork can be. And here's some examples for Zoku. It's really got a classic Shaft aesthetic, you know what I mean? But we're going to move on to Best Animation. Our guest for animation is no other than Canipa, or the Canipa effect.
While animation is often thought of as an artistic or production element of anime creation, it is at its core one of the greatest tools you can have in storytelling. Without the constraints of actors or VFX budgets, anime is able to portray anything. From demon slaying in the early 1900s to battles with titans hundreds of feet tall. This year we have nominees that show excellence in VFX, 3D, and good old 2D animation, giving a clear idea of anime's changing form going into the 2020s.
Best Animation: Attack on Titan, Season 3, Part 2. Chief Animation Directors Kyoji Asano and Satoshi Kadawaki. Beastars. Chief CG Director Eiji Inomoto. Fire Force. Chief Animation Directors Hideyuki Morioka and Yoshiyoko Sakai. Salazanmai. Chief Animation Directors Kyoko Ishikawa and Tomomi Kawatsuma. Demon Slayer, Kimetsu no Yaiba. Chief Animation Director Akira Matsushima. Tsulune. Chief Animation Director Nobuaki Maruki. Mob Psycho 100 2. Chief Animation Director Yoshimichi Kameda. Wataten. Chief Animation Director Chisato Kikunaga.
But ultimately, one show captured our attention with its impressive storytelling and inventive animation. Your public and jury winner for Best Animation is Mob Psycho 100 Season 2. This is the second time Mob Psycho has won this award, having previously won Best Animation for its first season in 2016. Today it's become all too common for a sequel to disappoint where the original succeeded, but Mob Psycho 100 Season 2 is everything we could have wanted and more than we'd feel comfortable asking for.
So I'm someone that doesn't really have in-depth knowledge of the industry side of things when it comes to anime. So when I was looking at these rankings, I was kind of interested to see Beastars nominated. What are some of the considerations when animating in 3D, such as rigging and all that, or is it even animation at all?
As I mentioned before, this year's nominations were a mixed bag, where lots of different kinds of animation were pitted against each other. In 2017, Land of the Lustrous took awards for both Best Animation and Best Cinematography, so it shows that Orange in particular is able to prove their worth to anime fans when it comes to 3D. I do think there is something to be said to giving it its own category though. While 3D definitely exists as animation, there's technical factors like motion capture, rendering, and lighting that strongly differentiate it from other nominees.
Okay, if it's coming from you, we'll have to consider it. But my last question for you is this, just to get a little insight into the jury process. Hakuto Precure and Pokemon Sun and Moon were actually considered briefly, but ultimately dropped in favor of shows with more consistent animation quality. Do you agree with this decision to go after consistency rather than high peaks? And what are some of the challenges and considerations that come with a longer production schedule?
Due to how these long-running shows work, consistency is incredibly difficult to accomplish, with different teams taking turns to create episodes and it being on a rotation. So while I personally would have wanted Precure and Pokemon nominated, I can understand why it didn't make it. Mob Psycho 100 is consistently visually interesting, with higher highs than Pokemon might reach, but not necessarily lower lows. I'm happy to give the shout out to teams that create long-running shows and somehow manage to keep them looking good with occasional standout moments, but for now, Best Animation belongs to seasonal shows.
Alright, and I'm inclined to agree. Now, joining us from the jury is none other than Rento. Hello, Rento. How are you doing?
Yo.
Can you explain to me just how jury went? Was it hard? Was it really tough to determine the ranking or not?
Well, early on, it was pretty difficult because people were really undecisive, but by the end, it was really astonishing how similarly everyone ranked each show. It was pretty unanimous that surprisingly Beastars and Tsurune were higher than people thought, but you know, it was pretty bug.
I mean, that's one way to put it. Was it hard ranking like Beastars alongside everything else because it's so different?
Yeah, we thought it might be at the beginning because it's mostly CG, but a lot of the techniques that we use to analyze stuff like Mob and Tsurune apply definitely to Beastars, like
movements and like all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Also, despite being a CG show, like Canipa Effect said, it had really good use of techniques like the smears and impact frames. Compared to stuff like polygon pictures where their facial animation is pretty much non-existent.
Okay. Well, thanks for explaining, and I'll let you go. Have a good day.
Yeah, thanks.
All right, and that was Best Animation. Thank you for Canipa, and Canipa will actually be showing up later on the stream as well. But for now, we're actually going to jump around just a little bit and move on to Best Female Voice Actress. Now, just for voice acting as a category as a whole, I just want to say that nothing breathes more life into a character than great voice acting. Even when handed a bad script, good voice acting buys credibility, and part of connecting with a character is believing they mean what they say. For all the big dramatic moments that deserve praise and that are maybe done in one take, we mustn't also forget the ones in between. Both male and female VAs delivered in their roles this year, and we're excited to share our anime's thoughts about them. So without further ado, here are your nominees for Best Female Voice Actress.
Best Female Voice Actor. Aoi Koga as Kaguya Shinomiya.
これじゃ会長を可愛いと思ってるのがバレバレに。
どうした篠宮。
かくなる上はいえ、なんでもないですよ。
スキル下髪。
Ai Feiruz as Hibiki Sakura.
いやー、動的ストレッチっていいな。これだけでも結構運動した気がするよ。今度ジムでもやろうっと。すまん、水着が破れた。
Aki Toyosaki as Restarte.
値を上げるに決まって。ならない。ならないな。もしかして壊れてる？それともまさか死んでる？でもおにぎりは食べてるみたいだし。
Aoi Yuki as Tanya Degereshov.
これでは似たようなものか。仕事だ。感情は抜きだ。理性に基づく自由意志において殺そう。
Konomi Kohara as Chika Fujiwara.
よよ、早速スタートだよ。
藤原初期。
NG ワードにオレッチがよく使う語尾を指定されてはたまらんよ。だから口調を変えているんだよ。残念だったなめ。
Konomi Kohara as Yoshida Yuko.
モリモリになってあ
Shamiko.
ったので、本当のところはどうなの？何%くらいが真実なの？と言われると困ってしまいますが、それでも私は私なりに頑張って、モモがギャフンという日も近いんじゃないかと思います。おはよう。魔法少女、なぜここに？貴様風はもういいのか？
Sumire Morohoshi as
で
Emma.
も置いてくって選択肢はない。コニーで終わりにしたいの。もう誰もあんな姿にしたくない。ないなら作ろうよ、外に。人間の生きる場所。変えようよ、世界。
Misaki Kuno as Mao.
我が今日からお主らの担任となるも魔王じゃ。ビシビシしごくがゆえ覚悟するがよい。
Welcome, Lily.
Are we on?
Yeah, we're on.
Hi.
Hi. Go ahead and announce
do
the
I-
winners.
Yes, okay. For female VA, the public and jury chose Aoi Koga as Kaguya Shinomiya.
Okay, first things first, I want to congratulate you on a couple things. First, winning Twitch Rivals. It's amazing.
God,
You went
stop.
13-1, 17K.
Wait,
Okay. So you've done some voice acting work. You've done Juniper and Arcade Spirits and various collabs like with Falcon Shield. What are some of the considerations and challenges you take when doing voice acting?
Definitely the acting part. It's not just about having like a cool sounding voice or cute sounding voice or whatever. It's about the emotion behind it. And I think voiceover is so integral to anime. Like these actors and actresses give life to the characters, and I really, really, really admire them. I'm surprised Kaguya won both public and jury.
Really? I mean, what would you which one do you think is the one that you were surprised by, the public or the jury?
Actually, maybe I'm not that surprised. It seems that these awards, we really love Kaguya-sama.
Yo, I mean, you're telling me. Like, almost every category it's in, it wins, I think.
Exactly. I would have thought like something else, but this is fine too.
Okay. Well, bringing in the juror to talk about how it went is ATargetFinderScrub. Hi, Target. Hi, Target.
So,
Target.
Wilson.
Okay. Can you let me know how the jury process went?
So, for the jury process, since for female VA, like there's a lot of options we can pick from for our short list. So what we did is we tried to compile as many great nominees as we could, like in a short amount of time, and we just looked at, say, the voice and how they impacted the show. So we tried to separate the voice actor from the actual role. So we were trying to pick the good roles and like not just pick a role based on, oh, this is a famous VA, for example, like Kanahana, Aoyuki, like everyone knows them, but we tried to pick like the roles that had the best actor, regardless of how famous they are. So in our picks, we actually do have a couple rookies in there, like some VAs who may not have done as many big roles in the past. So it's really cool to see like some bigger names with some some newer people on the scene.
Yeah, what I want to point out, and I actually found out today, is that Fate'Ru, who plays Hibiki Sakura, this is her first role ever, which doesn't show because she sounds amazing.
Yep.
And she's I mean, this isn't really important, but she's half Egyptian and half Japanese, which is why her name is Fate'Ru. And she actually wasn't supposed to be a voice actor. She wanted to be one, but her parents wouldn't let her. So she went to like graphic design school. She was a dental hygienist for a little bit, and then she was like, "Screw it, I'm gonna save up money." And she joined a voice acting school, and now she's doing Budokan this season. So
yeah,
follow your dreams. That's the lesson you should take. But anyway, Target, thank you for being on. You're gonna leave. Yeah. But Lily, you're staying with me for Best Male VA. So just hang on tight.
Okay.
Best Male Voice Actor. Chikahiro Kobayashi as Legoshi.
君はそんな顔をするんだね。やめてくれ。だって今こんなにはっきりと分かってしまったんだ。俺は君が好きだ。
Kensho Ono as Giorno Giovanna.
移動していることはすでに分かっています。ボスの体につけたブローチの位置なら正確に分かります。今、地下納骨堂への階段下、降りたところ約2メートルの柱のそばにいます。しかし待て、ブシャルティ、何かただならぬことが。
Daisuke Ono as Erwin Smith.
次の聖者に意味を託す。それこそ唯一この残酷な世界に抗う術なのだ。 兵士を怒れ、兵士を叫べ、兵士を叩け。
Makoto Furukawa as Miyuki Shirogane.
藤原書記の言葉もあの瞳も嘘か。万が一でもその可能性があるなら、この勝負間違っている。リコのために他人を傷つける行為を許さないという。
Naoya Uchida as Ashalad.
怪我のせいじゃねえ。そのバカはバカだから負ける。普段はちった考えて戦うようになってきちゃいるが、いっぺん頭に血が上ったら全部台無しだ。首筋を狙ってるなら。
Saito Soma as Vinegar Doppio.
どこだ？どこだ？ なんだよ、あるじゃねえかよ、自動車電話がよ。もしもし、はい、ドッピオです。
Takahiro Sakurai as Arataka Reagan.
あれから何も変わっていない。あいつをただ利用してきただけ。結局、何にもなれなかった。あいつの青春、一番足を引っ張ってるのは俺だったんじゃないか。
Yuki Ono as Lewis.
体が壊れていく。おい、今さら酷なこと言ってくれるなよ。戦うために作られた体じゃないなんて生まれた時から知ってる。結局は捕食される側の体でしかないことも。
And your public winner for Best Male Voice Acting Performance is Daisuke Ono as Erwin Smith, and the jury winner is Chikahiro Kobayashi as Legoshi.
Okay. Okay. So, this should be reversed. I'm so sorry. The image is wrong. So, while I go fix that, Lily, what did you think about these nominees?
I'm okay with Erwin Smith. He has a very, very nice, deep voice.
What do you think of that? Like big. What do you think of AOT as a whole?
I thought AOT was very solid. I lost interest, I remember, in the second season, but then like on the third, I picked up interest again and finished it, and I thought it was really good. It's like one of those anime I would recommend anyone.
Nice. And then
I'm surprised. I'm so sorry.
No, keep going.
I'm surprised. Miyuki didn't win because it seems like Kaguya is a favored.
I don't think he was like really impressive as a voice actor. His character's okay, but. And anything else you have to say?
I have a soft spot for Reagan. I thought his voice acting was really cute.
Cute. That's an interesting adjective.
He's so cute. He's such a cute like person. You know, you just want to like protect him. He's just trying his best.
Well, isn't the whole thing that he kind of like is like a little bit of an asshole?
Yes, he is a con artist. Yes, but even con artists have a heart. You know.
Okay, I mean, I guess I understand. Okay, well, thank you so much for coming on. Once again, congratulations, and have a nice day.
All right, have a nice day. Good luck with everything. You're doing a great job. Bye.
Thank you. Bye. All right. Well, we're moving on to best art style. So, for art style, we have FateSteelTaylor. He unfortunately couldn't be here today. You already heard him in main dramatic. So let's go ahead and have him present.
Hey everyone, Stay from the Art Anime Podcast back at it again, and this time we're going to be talking about the art style category. Now, what is animation without art style? Obviously, we need animation itself, but animation is about movement, right? Art style, it's about how you convey that movement. What kind of design are you going for when you're thinking about how to make your life move, how to bring your backgrounds to life? And with that in mind, your nominees for Best Art Style are...
Best Art Style. Beastars. Color design by Satoshi Hashimoto. Fire Force. Color design by Naoko Sato. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Part 5. Golden Wind. Color design by Yuko Sato. Hula-ing Babies. Color design by Ryozo Ominato. Kimetsu no Yaiba. Color design by Yuko Ome. Rinshi Ekoda-chan. Kurusu Yoshiro Kataoka. Mob Psycho 100. 2. Color design by Shihoko Nakayama. Salazanmai. Color design by Kunio Sujita.
The public winner this year for art style was Mob Psycho 102. And the jury award for best art style goes to Hula-ing Babies.
When it was announced that One Punch Man was going to be done by Murata, people were very hype. Why then is mob style so celebrated when it sticks to the original designs by One, which are known for not being as clean or intricate?
I believe the public got it right this time when they saw that Mob Psycho just really tapped into not just the typical shonen aspect that we see in One Punch Man, that we see in other anime with like clearly defined lines where you know what's good, what's right, and what's wrong. But Mob Psycho, because of its more fluid art style, the way it kind of just like bleeds into everything else, it allows for greater impact and it makes you feel more fluid and it makes you feel like there's a little bit more of less of an edge to everything, more like you can see everything play out. And of course, that leads to some beautifully dynamic and fluid fight scenes and really allows the characters to come to life without those defined borders and edges.
Alright, well, let's pivot from the public pick and just talk about the jury pick for a second. Hula-ing Babies? What is that even? Does it belong here? And why did they rank it first?
Now, for the jury, they chose Hula-ing Babies, and honestly, you can watch an entire episode in the time you're probably listening to this segment. Each episode was 5 minutes long, and if you haven't watched it, well, it is a trip. It's minimalistic, yet somehow, I don't want to say psychedelic, but it did remind me a lot of TQ and Usakame. One of the reasons why I think Hula-ing Babies got such a support from the jury is not just because it caters clearly to a snob audience. I think there's a lot to take away from the animation from it. Actually, no, there isn't, because the animation was mostly just static and in Flash, but the art style really brought what little animation there was to life and was so uniquely itself that I think there is a part of Hula-ing Babies that should be recommended and celebrated. So I'm glad the jury did choose Hooling Babies because obviously I think most people either have or should watch Mob Psycho 102. But if you've got 5 minutes, you've got 60 minutes to watch the entire 12-episode series, check out Hooling Babies and see what anime can do, not just in animation, but with regards to art style.
Thank you, Fate, not just for being here, but also for not slipping in a pun, because I know you like to do that, unless I missed one. But once again, thank you.
Thanks again.
That was me forgetting exactly when the clip ended. Our juror to come in for us is Furkle. Hello, Furkle. How are you?
I'm doing all right. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. This is actually a lot better than last year. So, you know, all we can ask for is continuous improvement. But can you let me know how the jury went?
Okay. So the jury was pretty hot on a lot of these art styles. There was a lot that we liked. And there was even more things that we could have put in, but we didn't. And in fact, I think it's really notable that our top 4 were all really close. There was a lot of big fans on all of our top 4. Like, basically, it could have been any of them. They were basically all decided by a very slim margin, 4-3. So, you know, a lot of love was for all 4 of those. We really liked those top 4. We really liked all of them, but those top 4 especially, we were big on them.
Okay, did you really like all of them? Because, Yaiba is last?
So, here's the thing. Yaiba was definitely the one that people put the lowest, but there were still people who were fans of Yaiba, myself included. Like, I think where Yaiba lacks is that there is some technical aspects to it that are kind of lacking. Sometimes the compositing isn't as good, but there are things about it, like the water breathing, that are very nice to look at. So, Yaiba definitely was weaker than the rest of these entries, but I still think that Yaiba has a good art style, and, I don't think anyone was like, oh gosh, Yaiba absolutely doesn't belong here. It definitely was, to us, weaker than the rest of the entries, but
that's still top 8 of the year, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's still top 8. These are all good art styles. These all, belong here. Even just going there is for example, Beastars got 6th, and that's mostly because the general art style, people weren't as hot in it, but almost everyone agreed that the things that it did when it really broke out, in Haru's Dream and stuff like that, people really liked that. But there was just so many good art styles that just having a couple of standout moments wasn't enough to put at the top of the pack. There was still these other ones that were doing it consistently that the jury just put above it.
Okay, well, I think that's understandable, and thanks for coming on.
Oh yeah, you're welcome. Thank you for having me.
All right, bye, Furkle. Something I want to mention before we move on is that Rinchi Ekoda-chan is actually, the art style changes from show to show, because it has a different, director? I should know that. But it's a different art style for each episode. So you should go ahead and check that out. It's really has a lot of variety. But we're going to move on to Best Cinematography. Our guest for Best Cinematography is Lachlan, otherwise known as the Pedantic Romantic. Hello, how are you doing?
Hello, hello. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Go ahead and present Best Cinematography.
Here we come to the award where we appreciate the anime whose directors offered a striking vision that their entire team of episode directors and storyboarders was able to help realize. And of course, the award where the film nerds among us get to complain about most of the voting public not even really understanding what cinematography actually is.
Best Cinematography. Attack on Titan, Season 3, Part 2. Director of Photography, Kazuhiro Yamada. O Maidens in Your Savage Season. Director of Photography, Yuichiro Nagata. Beastars. Director of Photography, Shiori Kosho. The Magnificent Kotobuki. Director of Photography, Toru Shinozaki. Demon Slayer, Kimetsu no Yaiba. Director of Photography, Yuichi Terao. Rirokuma Tukaru-san. Director of Photography, Jun Sakai. Mob Psycho 100 2. Director of Photography, Mayuko Furumoto. Salazanmai. Director of Photography, Takeo Ogiwara.
Your public and jury winner for Best Cinematography is Beastars.
So, to talk about Beastars, it's by Orange, known for their last notable show was Hoseki, and that also has a really good use of CGI. Do you see any parallels between these two and any techniques that Orange likes to do in their works?
Yeah, so I'd say the two main points of continuity are Orange's use of the particular strengths of CGI to make their directing stand out. The big moment from Hoseki no Kuni that I think people remember is that extended one-shot take with Fos hiding beneath the table, sort of creeping along that really good extended sequence.
I might be a fake fan. I don't remember that.
Oh no! Oh no! You are
Okay,
a fake fan.
I would probably know it if I saw it. But the one that stood out to me is I keep going back to the diamond fight with the giant Lunarian.
Mm-hmm. Yep. For sure. And then the other sort of through line here stylistically is their willingness to use these little bits of 2D. The sort of flashback sequences here in Beastars and a couple of sequences over in Hoseki no Kuni. And in both of these series' cases, those are just absolutely stunning, and the marked difference that they have from the visual style of the rest of the series really makes things stand out. And I think that's another way that they make use of the fact that they're producing in CG here to great effect.
Nice, I have to agree. Well, to bring in the juror, it's going to be... I should have practiced this. Nijgnuoy? Nijgnuoy? I'm sorry. How do you say your name?
You know what? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
You know what? I'm not actually sure either.
Okay. I mean, that's
if
fine.
you want-
I'm right then. There you go.
You can if you want, you can actually pull back the veil of secrecy. You can call me Youngjin or Young. That's actually my name backwards. So
Young.
Yeah.
Okay. And go ahead and let us know how the jury went.
Yeah, so for cinematography, we actually had some clear front runners right from the beginning. Like actually our first through third place was basically what we had in the lead. Beastars and Sarazanmai especially were really popular, but Mob Psycho was right behind them. Otherwise, the rest kind of fell right into place. We had a few nominations that didn't quite make the cut that were also pushing, like Stars Align was pushed by a few jurors, and that was close to making it. And Fire Force actually later on was really popular by jurors, but that one ended up not quite making it either. So yeah, it was a pretty interesting selection.
What I want to ask you is actually what Lachlan was saying in her intro. How do you it seems like a lot of people don't exactly know what cinematography even is. Could you explain it real quick and how you evaluated these shows?
Right. So when we looked at a show for cinematography, we were basically looking for how well the show communicated visually, right? So we're looking at composition of the show, how the show is framed, the angle of the quote-unquote camera, blocking of characters, color, lighting, basically everything that you see on the screen, how well it looks visually and how well it was communicating the narrative visually.
Man, that's a lot of stuff. Do you agree with that, Lachlan?
Yeah, that's a pretty good definition.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Young, for coming by. And we'll see you later, maybe.
Thank you.
However, Lachlan is staying because our next category is Best Character Design. Take it away.
Anime character design work is a delicate art that entails balancing the aesthetic appeal of the subjects with the needs of the animation team, trying to make the lines and shapes easy to work with to allow the design to animate smoothly while still looking rich and distinctive even if they're standing still. With this award, we honor those who achieved this excellence in 2019.
Here are your nominees.
Best Character Design. Beastars. Character designer Nao Utso. Originals by Paru Itagaki. Aikatsu Friends. Character designer Satomi Watanabe. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, Part 5, Golden Wind. Character designers Takahiro Kishida and Takahito Katayama. Originals by Hirohiko Araki. Carolyn Tuesday. Character designer Tsunemori Saito. originals by Eisaku Kobanuchi. Demon Slayer, Kimetsu no Yaiba, character designer Akira Matsuhima, originals by Koyoharu Gotoge. Hulaing Babies, character designer Ryozo Ominato. Mob Psycho 100, 2, character designer Yoshimichi Kamida, originals by 1. Pokemon Sun and Moon, character designers Satoshi Nakano and Shuhei Yasuda.
Yeah, what are the winners?
Give me 1 second, I'm sorry. I'll just do it. Your public winner for best character design is JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. And the jury winner is Aikatsu Friends. Hey. Now, before we focus on that, because I know you want to talk about it, a certain AniTuber told me that JoJo's designs are Carbaggio.
Carbaggio!
Why did it win the public? And is he right?
I don't think he was totally right, no. I mean, it won the public in part because JoJo is a meme, dude. Everyone loves JoJo. But I mean, they're very distinctive. They're very colorful. They're very flamboyant. There's a lot of points of appeal there. You cannot hate on JoJo. However, chat, fucking fake anime fans, Aikatsu Friends slandered, Hulaing Babies, maybe the most visually interesting series of the entire 2019 anime slate, getting slandered in the chat. I know you didn't even watch it, because you don't watch anything that's outside of the top 5 series on Mal from any given season. Get out of here.
You tell him, Lachlan. But don't actually,
explore the rest of the medium. Explore
that's
the interesting things that are being done on the perimeter. All right, I'm done calling out chat, but I cannot tolerate this.
You're good. I mean, like, part of the awards in the first place is to try to get people to watch things and get interested in things that they might not otherwise would have. So
100%. No, I appreciate the work you guys are doing on that front.
Of course. So to talk about Aikatsu, what are some of the considerations that come into idol design specifically? Because I know that they have a hard job of trying to make each one be distinct and stand out, not only with their personalities, but also how they look.
Yeah, so one of the big areas in which Aikatsu Friends really excels, that might not be evident just from a key image or a clip, is the outfit variety. This is a show, obviously, that is designed for a young female audience. It's about this fantasy of being an idol, of being fashionable and hip and trendy. And they nail it. The outfits are all super cute. They're all things you'd want to wear. And that's something that you can't get just in a snapshot, but the variety of that over the course of the run, all of the idol outfits for the performance segments are great.
All right, and here to talk about how the jury went is AdiMG. Hello, Addy, how are you doing?
I'm fine.
Right.
I'm having fun with chat.
Hey, that's good. I want as much fun in chat as possible. So can you go ahead and tell us how it went? Addy, stop memeing.
Sorry. So from the start, we had like these very clear front runners, like the first 4, but we looked at a ton of options. We looked at like Juror, we looked at around 40-50 shows, and most of them were long runners, and it like took a long toll on us, but it was still really fun. And so the best thing about the jury, like the awards, was here that all the nominees are like distinct in at least one category. Like Aikatsu is splendid in its character, like in its costuming. Like it has so much attention to detail in its 3D rigging, in that like the costumes have these really stiff cans, and on top of that there's like a very like flowing chiffon fabric, and like the models completely capture that in its 3D sequence. And also every character has wardrobes which suits their personality. Like Ain's are completely bright and colorful and warm to match herself, and like Mio's are how should I say, like very cool and chic in a way. And then there's like stuff like Sumo, which is like completely reinventing in nature, you know, like
Go in king. Go in king.
Go in what?
Go in king.
Oh yeah. So yeah. So like Sumo, what it does is it simplifies the designs a lot so that it can improve its facial animation, and it can improve its character animation all across the board. And it also has like really nice touches for its human designs, as well as like its iconic Pokemon designs, which we all know and love. After that, we had Hulaing Babies, which was like really experimental. It does so much fun stuff with its line arts and its shape amorphications. Like it changes line art colors to match, go contrast against it, against the backgrounds, and then it changes the depth of the line art, or it completely like blocks out the line art entirely, so that it's like blobs without any, like it's Kaganashi blocks. But these Kaganashi blocks are like melting in nature, because suppose there's like a sweltering sun or something and these characters are melting, so the designs match that. So it's really inventive in that manner, and the designs are really powerful because of that. And
so you would recommend anyone checking out any of these shows if they like what they see here?
Yes, I'd recommend like most of these shows. I like Mob Psycho. Like the only reason Mob Psycho isn't in the top 4 is like Mob Psycho has like perfect animation design, like absolutely perfect. The only problem the jury had was like it can be like a bit samey for especially the antagonists. Like they're not really that impactful. And Yaiba's issues are like that. Yaiba's like the Hashiras and every. Just look at Yaiba's designs once, and every female character except for Nezuko does not have irises and pupils. It looks horrific. It looks like
hey, I think it looks cool. Okay.
It looks like all the characters have been mutilated. And,
okay,
like,
sorry, Eddie. We got to move on. But thank you so much for coming on.
I can talk in detail about all of these if anybody wants to.
I can tell.
Yeah,
I believe it. Let me just say before Guilt gets unfairly cast. The cooking in the background is my fiance. It is not Adi's fault. Look, dinner doesn't stop for the R Anime Awards. Sorry to say it.
That's completely fine. We understand. But you guys have a great day.
Yeah, you too.
All right, moving on to Best OP. Our guest for OP is Phenom Sage.
If you're anything like me, the only thing that rivals the anticipation for new anime series every year are the openings that happen to coincide with them. Anime OPs are a chance for the studio to put their best foot forward with tirelessly animated sakuga and absolute banger tracks that can get stuck in your head for the rest of the year. Here are your nominees for the best opening of 2019.
Best OP 99.9 Mob Psycho 102. Directed by Yuzuru Tachikawa. Performed by Saju Nohana. Kaen. Dororo. OP1. Directed by Takeshi Koike. Performed by Zio Avachi. Gurenge, Demon Slayer, Kimetsu no Yaiba. Directed by Haruo Sotozaki. Performed by Lisa. Kiss Me. Carolyn Tuesday. Directed by Bahi JD. Performed by NaiBRXX and Selena An. Kawaki wo Ameku, Domestic Nakanojo. Directed by Shota Ihata. Performed by Minami. Rin, Moon, Das, Cry. Wasteful Days of High School Girls. Directed by Aoi Umeki. Performed by Chinatsu Akasaki, Haruka Tomatsu, and Aki Toyosaki. Love Dramatic. Directed by Tsuyoshi Tobita. Performed by Masayuki Suzuki and Rika Ihara. Seishun Seminar. We Never Learn. Directed by Takashi Sakuma and Ko Yoshinari. Performed by Study. Wild Side, Beastars. Directed by Machiakato. Performed by Ali. Wonderful Wonder. Ao-chan Can't Study. Directed by Keisuke Inoue. Performed by Edoga Sullivan.
And your winner for the public opening of 2019 is Domestic Girlfriend. And the jury winner goes to Joshi Kosei.
Okay, Domestic Nakanajo, I keep seeing it, and I keep... the impression is much different than what the popularity actually seems to suggest. It beat freaking Mob Psycho and Beastars and Kaguya. Why do you think the public likes it so much?
I think so. Domestic Girlfriend was a pretty memed series. I feel like the opinion about the show itself really isn't that high, but the opening itself, it kind of turned into a Kokoku of this year where it just outshined its own show.
Oh, okay. Is it really catchy or?
Yeah. I like the song itself. It was kind of overplayed, but because like when it came out, like that was a season full of great openings. But I mean, that one just for whatever reason really caught on and people were playing it over and over. I love the vocals. They're passionate and rough. So I assume that's what drew people to that opening, is because it just sounds different than what you'd normally expect from a singer.
Okay. And
the visuals are pretty weak though. So I feel like it was carried primarily by the song.
Oh, okay. And the public tends to like the song more than the visuals, I think.
Oh, all the time. Yeah, no way.
But I mean, it's not like Joshi Kosei's music is a slouch. I mean, Wa Moon Das Cry, I can't. That's gonna be stuck in my head for the next like 3 days.
That one was weird. This is like top underdog pick of all these
people in
openings.
chat are really happy.
I love the opening, so I mean, I'm happy that it won. It's just that I didn't hear as many people talking about it in comparison to stuff like Wild Side.
I see.
The Dododo opening, just all these really good OPs in here, 99.9.
Yeah, let me bring in a juror and they can explain exactly what happened.
All right.
And our juror is Combo. Hi, Combo.
Hey, Wilson. Hey, Phenom. How you guys doing?
I'm doing all right. How about you?
I'm doing great.
Pretty good.
It's good. Go
ahead. You guys want to know our patented process for deciding?
Yes. Is it patented?
I need to hear this.
I don't know if we're allowed to say it's patented.
It's 3 steps. It's simple. It's easy to follow. So step 1, you watch every single OP that aired last year, regardless of how insignificant the show might seem, until your eyes start to glaze over and they all blend into each other. And then step 2, you meticulously argue over the tiniest differences in song quality, animation, synchronization between the music and the visuals, and how well the OP fits the narrative of the show. And then
That's
step
kind of...
3, sorry.
I'll let you finish.
That's okay. Step 3, and this is the most important step, guys. If your OP features real life stop motion animation, slap it in first and second place.
So that's kind of what I wanted to ask about, because to me, I don't know if other people have different opinions about this, but music is like one of the most subjective things. Like you can look at animation or writing or whatever, and it's like, obviously that's subjective too, but it's easier to like discern what's good and what's bad. With music, it's a lot harder to do that because everyone has like this different taste in what sounds good to them. So I'm wondering, like, did you factor that in, or like, are you valuing animation and just technical aspects more than the music itself, or what's going on?
I think we tried to value everything kind of equally, but it's impossible because music is so subjective that everybody's going to have their preferences. Some people would dislike one issue with a song, and then other people loved that about the song. Like I would say, for example, Kind, the Dororo OP. Some people thought the singing sounded more like screaming and it grated on them, and other people loved that section of that OP. So it's really just the tiniest little differences in what jurors felt that led to the outcome.
And you're judging the TV versions, not the full versions of the songs?
Yeah, just the TV spot OPs.
Because they judge both the visuals together as a complete package.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yes, of course.
Right. Well, thank you,
I have
Combo.
one,
One more question.
I have
Go
one
ahead.
more
Yeah.
question. One and
Sure.
very, very important question. Where is Black Clover? Black Clover had like 4 insane openings last year. Was it at least in the discussion?
It was absolutely in the discussion at one point, but I would be lying if I didn't say it was dropped kind of early.
That disappoints me, but I understand that you guys have your own thing that you have to settle there.
And I mean, like,
Black Clover always has great OPs, though. I mean,
yeah,
all the nominees are still good. You know what I mean? It's not like they
are
shoved in one over it,
except for Demon Slayer. But
those,
what? Who said that?
That was the public. Anyway, bye, Combo. Thank you.
See ya.
Phenom is staying though, because the next category, of course, after openings, is endings.
Endings. There's nothing better after finishing an episode of a series than being treated to an anime ending that is instantly catchy, represents the vibe of the show, and maybe even tells a story of its own. A good ED is one that acts as an extension of the episode itself, but also lets you think about what you just watched. Or maybe it's just characters dancing. Here are your nominees for the best ending of 2019.
Kaguya-sama, Love is
Best
War,
ED.
ED2. Directed by Naoya Nakayama, performed by Konami Kohara. Kago no Naka no Bokura wa, Hoshiai no Sora. Directed by Ryoma Ibata, performed by Aiki from Bless 4. Drown, Vinland Saga, ED2. Directed by Toshiyuki Yamashita, performed by Millet. Nemureru Honu, Beastars. Directed by Rina Mitsuzumi, performed by Eureka. Stand By Me, Sarazanmai. Directed by Tao Tajima, performed by the Peggies. Oshiete, Twinkle, Star Twinkle Precure, ED3. Directed by Kodama Tetsuro, performed by Chihaya Yoshitake. Torches, Vinland Saga, ED1. Directed by Toshiyuki Yamashita, performed by Aimer. Sayonara Goko, Dororo, ED1. Directed by Osamu Kobayashi, performed by Amazarashi. Veil, Fire Force, ED1. Directed by Taiki Kono, performed by Miss Green Apple. Wasa Wasa Wasa, Kedama no Ganjuro. Directed by Tomoki Misato, performed by Demon Kaka.
And your winner for the public vote for the best ending of 2019 is Kaguya-sama Love is War. The Chika ED, not the first one that everyone forgot. And your winner for the jury vote of the best ending of 2019 is Sarazanmai with Stand By Me.
Onegai. Okay. Real quickly before I ask you any questions, I just wanted to address the Hoshiai ED because that had like a little bit of a controversy. They were accused of plagiarizing some dances. The dancers are Miko Nanakawa and Melochin. They did address this and they did properly credit them, but I just wanted to say, yeah, that they are
Pretty
credited.
sketchy.
And yeah, well, when you get reference material, sometimes you just kind of get carried away. No one thinks to ask if they got permission. It's just an oversight. But so, what did you think of these EDs?
I like both of them a lot. I remember when the Chica ED first came out and like everyone was losing their mind over it. And then I watched and I was like, yep, I understand why everyone is losing their mind over this. Just really insanely, I know it was rotoscoped, but just insanely well choreographed animation, catchy song. It's just really well done. And Stand By Me obviously is just awesome, super cool mixed media, real life stuff.
Yeah, of course. And then you said you had one ED that when we sent you over the list, you had no idea that it existed, but you ended up really liking it. Could you talk more about that?
The Wasa 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 ED. I have no idea what that show is. I don't know what that ED is, but like when you sent that to me, I was like looking all of them over, and that one was like, how have I not seen this before? Like it does the same stop motion stuff that like Beastars is being credited for, and like the song is catchy. It's a really cool looking ED.
Yeah, and we sure thought so too because it made it to second. And I actually have a little recognition to show off. This is a message from Tetsuo Hirakawa. If you don't speak Japanese, I have a translation right here. Nice to meet you. I'm Tetsuo Hirakawa, director of the anime Kidama no Gonjiro, which is the show that the ED comes from. I'm very happy that Wasa 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 won the ED award of Reddit 2019. I believe the power of animation is to convey feelings in nonverbal images. My belief is proved by this award. So thanks to him, and we love that it was created.
Yeah, thanks for creating such a cool ED.
Yeah, but to go back, we're going to bring in DoctorWhoops for the jury and see exactly how that process went. Hello, Whoops.
Hi.
Hi, how did the jury process go?
It went well. The fun thing about ED is that everyone goes to the entire list of all ED in the year. So you get all these individual lists with everyone's EDs, where there's all these wild things that no one has ever heard of, but to have amazing EDs. Yeah, so it's a very fun process.
Nice. Yeah. One of the things I wanted to ask is, Chad is pretty mad at y'all. Because
how are they?
Oh, what are they mad about?
Both Finland.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Both Finland EDs, bottom, like the most bottom of bottom it can be.
I didn't even see the rankings. Yeah,
what
is going on? Can you explain that a little bit?
Yeah, so we generally look for a really good combination of both the song and the visuals, and there was very strong competition from many of the nominees there, and we felt that both the Finland Saga EDs while they were quite strong in the song, mostly. Like Drown, for example, it has a lot of fight scenes, but many of them are taken from the series themselves with a like sepia filter put over them, which we felt was a bit underwhelming. And it also didn't have much narrative in it, where it was mostly just portraying these fights. And for something like Torches spends a lot of time on like scenery shots and stuff like that. We felt that it served the narrative of it's talking back, but it was still stylistically a bit lacking. But yeah, it was also for a large part due to strong competition.
Yeah, I mean, you wouldn't call them bad, right?
No, I mean, in a group of like 11 jurors, there's always going to be some people who consider good things or generally consider good things bad, and people who consider generally dislike things good. So, but I think in general the consensus was, yeah, all the ED on the list are at least good.
All right, Phenom, do you have any questions for Whoops?
None, without like just being really opposed to certain choices.
We're all for it. Go ahead. Did you hear what Lachlan said?
Okay. So here's a criticism, I guess. Well, not really even a criticism, just like asking what's going on with, like, Hoshiai Sora. Like, the animation is great. The song, I'm not a fan of it, but I can understand why someone would be a fan of it. But did it ever like come up in a conversation, like that those two elements of that ED don't really mesh together. Like it's kind of just a song being put over that animation. Or do you just disagree?
That has come up, and that is one of the main things that is why it's third and not second or first. But what was mostly liked about that is, like you said, the strong animation, but also how the choreography represented the characters well. It expressed a lot of personality through dance, which is something you also see in Chica Chica. But for Hosha, so it's all these different characters that each get this small amount of dance, but it's not just the choreography, but also the energy they put into it and the weight behind the animation that really tells a lot about the characters involved, and that was very much appreciated.
I can see that for sure. Other than like, I obviously have problems with the rankings, but I feel like you guys did cover like all of the really standout EDs last year. So,
and just to clarify once again, like these guys, they watch everything, every single ED that came out within that past year, which as you know is a freaking lot. So kudos to them, and this is what they collated from that huge pool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Major props.
All right, but thank you all so much for coming by.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks.
Right.
Bye-bye.
All right, moving on to Best OST. Our guest for OST is Shabu, that music nerd. Shabu is probably one of the most underrated YouTubers I have had the pleasure of having the company of. His videos are absolutely amazing. He just released one about Liz, analyzing the soundtrack. He is a composer himself, so who better to know exactly what goes into an OST. But let's let him present.
A soundtrack can be many things. Background music, atmosphere, world building. It can even take on the role of another character, showing us feelings and emotions otherwise not expressed outwardly. What roles and sound the score takes is up to a combined effort from directors, composers, and their teams. Today we have the pleasure of looking at several scores that sound and accomplish very different things. From intense, electronic, atmospheric music to jazzy romps filled with extended techniques. From hype builders with instrumentations and tracks that pop to actual pop tracks.
Attack on Titan.
This year had a lot to love if you're a fan of anime soundtracks.
Hiroyuki Sawano.
Let's take a look at the nominees for Best Soundtrack.
Best Original Soundtrack. Beastars. Satoru Kosaki. Carolyn Tuesday, Maki, and various artists. Golden Kamui, Kenichiro Suehiro. Demon Slayer, Kimetsu no Yaiba, Go Shina, and Yuki Kajiura. Kemri Kusa, Tetsuya Takahashi, and various artists. The Promised Neverland, Takahiro Obata. Run with the Wind, Yuki Hayashi and Yasushi Horiguchi.
And your public winner for Best OST is Carol and Tuesday. And the jury chose Run with the Wind.
All right. What do you think of these?
Honestly, I'm not at all surprised by Carol and Tuesday. I kind of figured it would be either that or Attack on Titan or Demon Slayer. I think that there's a lot to be said about how visible the music actually is and how digestible it is and how easy it is to understand. Because there's a lot of things where a score will do something really interesting, like using extended techniques as rhythm, which I'll talk about later. But it kind of just like flies over most people's heads because people don't care.
Yeah, it's like those little invisible things, right? That like make you feel like it's good, but you can't really put your finger on it.
Yeah, and then like if you learn what makes it good, then you're like, oh, holy crap, that's so that's so dope, you know. But yeah, so I'm not incredibly surprised by Carol and Tuesday. I think that the collaboration is also a pretty big deal. That's something that definitely deserves to be praised.
Yeah,
I think is the
there are so many artists that we couldn't actually fit them in on the montage because we would have been saying like Denzel Curry and Nye and all that.
Yeah, no, it's great. And then for the lead two, they did a global competition, right?
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they did a global competition, and then they like picked the two. They picked Carol and Tuesday, and I think that that's such an interesting idea from like, because for people that don't know, I'm a composer, music editor, and score coordinator for work. And for the idea of having to sift through all of that sounds so daunting, but definitely is like worthy of praise.
Okay, and I wanted to ask you one thing that I know that you might be looking forward to. You really liked Beastars. We placed it third. I think third is respectable, but do you disagree?
I think Beastars maybe should have won. I know we were talking about that invisible thing earlier. In the first 7 minutes of the first episode, you get this intense, chilling atmosphere. It creates such a beautiful world for all the characters to live in. You kind of know what's going on. You are cued in directly, boom, into the feelings you're supposed to be feeling. And then on top of that, it has a really great like technical compositional like standpoint. So from a technical aspect, there's one track that actually uses an extended technique on violin where you bow on the bridge, and it's got this really kind of scratchy sound, and they put that through delay, some wet reverb, and then they turned that into the beat, and then had this like kind of solo dry clarinet playing on top of it, and it's just such a sick. It's just so freaking cool. I don't know.
No, I mean, I agree because I was in orchestra actually. I don't know if people know this, and I used to play the cello, and that's not really easy to do. That whole bridge thing, if you do it wrong, it could easily sound just like a cat meowing at you. So, really big props to the composer of Beastars.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
But to bring in the jury, it is Caleb. Hello, Caleb. How are you?
Hey, how's it going?
Hi, doing good. Can you explain how the jury went?
Yeah, first thing I want to say though is it's actually Golden Kamuy, not the OVA.
Yes,
like,
yes. Sorry. To clarify, the way that our eligibility works is that the OST has to be released in order for it to be eligible, because we also consider it standalone in addition to how it's used in the show. So that's actually not Golden Kamuy OVA. That's the entire Golden Kamuy series.
Yeah, because the soundtrack was released after the eligibility period happened, so it basically rolled over to this year, and we thought it was amazing. But how the whole category went, I think it went very well. Stuff changed up and down a lot after people watch the whole show, because usually we'll listen to the soundtrack, and then if it gets enough momentum, everyone obviously has to watch the whole show. And stuff changed around a lot, and I do want to say that there were tons of great OSTs this year. Like when it came to final voting period, there were like 16 OSTs to vote, and stuff like JoJo, Symphogear, Sarah's on My Boogie Pop, all just like barely missed the cut. But yeah, we had a ton of good OSTs this year, and these were the final cuts we had basically.
So I'm pretty sure I'm gonna have a mob outside of my house if I don't ask how exactly did Boogie Pop miss the cut?
We just thought that the 4 picks that we had just had better usage, better atmosphere, more varied sound. For example, like Run with the Wind, Golden Kamuy, Beastars, they all had just varied sounds. Like, so Run with the Wind did emotional moments really good, did atmosphere really good. It had some unique soundscapes. Like, it would use, there was this one track that had like, it sounded like, almost like, I can't remember what I'm trying to say right now.
No, you're good. But yeah, so I think it comes down to variety, huh?
Yeah, basically, like they were just more unique and it was more varied. Like Boogie Pop was an amazing soundtrack, did atmosphere really well, but I feel like it was kind of one note, and a lot of others in the jury felt like that too. Like it did the atmosphere extremely well, but it kind of all sounded the same over the course of the runtime, I guess you could say.
Is that a valid criticism, Shabu?
I have a I have a difficulty putting that. I didn't watch Boogie Pop. I just kind of looked at the nominations you guys sent me. So I can't say if it sounded repetitive, because there's a difference between thematic, like through lines, right? A lot of the scores I work on, it's generally very strange. We have, one of the last films I worked on, we had a classic opera piece. Then we had a classic Chinese, like traditional Chinese piece. And then we had an aleatoric, atonal kind of mess of a piece, all in the same film. And we were all kind of looking at each other like, this is probably a little weird. But to bring it back, so like thematic through line can be really good. It's just a matter of if the pieces are sounding too similar to each other. If it starts getting repetitive, if everything is sounding the same, then the emotional beats are not going to be exactly the same, and they're not going to hit as hard.
Okay, I get it. Anyway, thanks you guys for coming. Before you leave, I just want to say real quickly, we actually got a message from the Kenichiro Suehiro, who did Golden Kamuy. He says, "Thank you all the fans who love Golden Kamuy and its original soundtrack. And thank you all the organizers and the staff of Reddit 2019 Anime Awards who always stimulate the anime industry. By receiving the news which Golden Kamuy's soundtrack, which includes the elements of traditional instruments, orchestra, and rock music, had been nominated, I feel excited for producing music of next season more and more. This nomination is very encouraging for me, and I would like to produce music that can make the fans of Golden Kamuy happy. Hina Hina." So
that's amazing.
Thank you so much to Suehiro.
That's awesome.
We appreciate the enthusiasm. But thank you guys very much. All right, we're going to move on to... Oh, wow. Well, we're actually almost done. That was the final production award that we have to give. So we're going to take a very quick break, and when we come back, it's going to be the main awards. So stay tuned. All right, and we're back. And we're moving on to the main awards. Our guest for short is Core Reviews. He just goes by Core now. Despite their name, shorts deserve the opposite amount of attention. As this year shows, it offers a playground for animators, allowing them the opportunity to explore in ways that could never make it on TV. Whether the mystical world of Totsukuni no Shoujo is what draws you in, or you're just really super into tights, shorts is a category for you. Here are your nominees.
Best Short: Aggressive Retsuko, ONA, 2nd season. Fanworks, directed by Rareko. Anklet to Aoi Umi, Studio Himalaya, directed by Akane Hirai. Isekai Quartet, Studio Puyukai, directed by Minoru Ashina. Bokura Mada Underground, Wit Studio, directed by Nobutaka Yoda, performed by Eve. Milu Tights, Yokohama Animation Lab, directed by Yuki Ogawa. Raison d'etre, Anicia Incorporated, directed by Ryu Nakayama, performed by Eve. Senryu Shoujo, Connect, directed by Masato Jinbo. The Girl from the Other Side, Wit Studio, directed by Yutaro Kubo and Satomi Tani.
Your public winner for Best Short is Isekai Quartet. And the jury chose The Girl from the Other Side.
Okay, so a kind of running theme we have every year is that we always nominate a bunch of music videos, and sometimes like literal commercials. Like in 17, we nominated a McDonald's commercial, and last year we nominated a latte commercial. What do you think? Do you think music videos are considered to be short form anime?
I think they're just as fair game as pretty much anything else, especially if you consider the fact that a lot of devoted shorts, being the ones that intend to tell a story within a very short window, not like a short series, consist almost entirely of music, sound effects, and visuals. A music video is essentially the same, and a lot of them can convey just as, if not more interesting visuals and narratives than a more conventional anime.
And we didn't pay you to say that, right?
No.
Okay. You just released a video about the beauty of anime shorts. Could you briefly summarize it? Let us know why people should watch more shorts.
Essentially, my point that I wanted to get in that video is that anime shorts offer a very unique and diverse range of experiences, and unlike with trying to take on some grand task of watching every anime that came out in a given year, it's much more accessible because by their nature they are short. So it's a very enjoyable way to get a little bit of insight into all these different styles and things that might be to your taste and might not, without it taking up too much of your time.
All right, and then just one last thing. Isekai Quartet is pretty polarizing. As you can see, public voted first and then jury voted last. What side do you stand on? Is it just fan service, or is it just like kind of nice?
I'm gonna have to sit staunchly in opposition. I mean, I can understand the appeal, I suppose, especially with getting to have all the voice actors for shows that you enjoy come together and interact. However, I'm not really a fan of any of the shows barring Konosuba, and visually it does not present much aesthetically that I like.
Okay, I think that's fair opinion to have. Well, to join us from the jury is McAddy. Hi, McAddy. How are you doing?
Oh, doing well. How about yourself?
Doing well. Can you briefly go over exactly how it went in the jury process?
So for the jury nominations, it was really just the story of like the top two being kind of runaway victors. The results 3 through 6 were all pretty much like tied. It could have gone pretty much any way. It was really minor things that separated 3 from 4 and 5 and even 6. Sumeru Sojo was actually pretty popular amongst the jury, and Agretsuko too. It was one of my favorites of the year. And then for the bottom two, it was less of an indictment and more of just a lack of strong support from specific jurors.
Okay. Cord, do you have any questions for McAddy?
I mean, I think the victory for Girl from the Other Side is, pretty straightforward. I think it blows pretty much everything else in the category out of the water. However, I am curious about the, if I see right, there's a Nurpeta. I do feel like that should have gotten a bit more acknowledgement. That was a pretty enjoyable series with a pretty strong aesthetic in my series. So I think that maybe should have gotten some love. But other than that, I can't disagree much.
Was that considered, McAddy?
I can tell you that Nopeta had some pretty heavy consideration from a small, very select portion of it. I think what ended up just happening is after Inkglit and Totsukuni got pretty much locked in, it was easier to build a sort of like common consensus around the music videos for whatever reason. And I think Nopeta had an issue where it could have been something else. And I think a lot of people, as they were watching it, were hoping it would become something else. And with it being Arrogant Fault, we just didn't have the time to sort of process it. If you're asking me personally, it would have won the category for me. Or at least
really?
Second,
okay.
If it had been nominated, but that's just how the process works. Sometimes, individual jurors, it's all about consensus building more than just individual juror opinion.
Yeah.
Very fair.
All right. Thank you guys for coming by.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on to Best Movie. Our guest for movie is Isla once again. So let's let her present.
Best Movie.
Actually, I'm sorry. Give me one moment. And she will present shortly. I'm still here.
When we look
There you
back
go.
on 2019, I think it's only natural that we contemplate the end of the decade. And for movies and anime, I think the last 10 years has been a triumph for this very passionate, once isolated fandom in the West. As the final part of the 2010s rolled in, we saw more films than ever before cross into theatres throughout America, Europe, and the rest of the world, outside of those niche festivals and conventions that we attend. I remember the overwhelming feeling of familiar love that I got watching Mirai with a group of strangers, and the genuine joy its Oscar nomination brought me, and another group of strangers. Yet while I might not know the person sitting next to me, it's our love of anime that links us together. Whether we're watching the intense action in the final moments of the first Boku no Hero Academia film, or the rush during that one chase scene in Penguin Highway, or that nostalgic twinge in Mewtwo Strikes Back. Of course, and as it is reflected in the nominations, there are plenty of films that we don't get to watch like this. I just think it's pretty damn cool that for a decent amount of us, there's a way to watch anime on the big screen. Regardless of how you watch them, there were countless big moments. Dragon Ball Broly took us back to that DBZ-esque art style. Psycho Pass proved it had more to prove. Tanya, ReZero, Danmachi, Non Biyori, and even Godzilla brought their franchises to the long-form format. Some for the first time. We had movies licensed to streaming services like Black Fox, solo creators coming back 10 years later with Synchro Correct. And who can forget Fate? Heaven's Feel Part 2 was a spectacle not just for Fate fans, but for the industry that made it. So whether you watched any of these films alone, with friends, or with strangers, I'd say it was a pretty promising way to end the decade.
All right, and sorry, just to clarify, some of the way our eligibility rules work is that stuff like Promare and others were actually not eligible for this for 2019 because we actually wanted them to have Blu-ray releases because we don't have the resources to have jurors fly out and actually watch the movies or get screeners, so we want to make sure that it's widely available first. But with that being said, here are your nominees for Best Movie.
Rascal Does Not Dream of a Dreaming Girl. Cloverworks. Directed by Soichi Masui. Senko Roll Connect. Directed by Atsuya Uki. Dragon Ball Super. Brawly. Toei Animation. Directed by Tatsuya Nagamine. Non Non Biyori Movie. Vacation. Silver Link. Directed by Shinya Kawatsura. Fate Stay Night. Heaven's Field. 2. Lost Butterfly. UFO Table. Directed by Tomonori Sudo. Star Twinkle Precure. Hoshina Uta, Niyomoe wo Komete. Toei Animation. Directed by Tanaka Yuta. My Hero Academia, the movie. 2 Heroes. Bones. Directed by Kenji Nagasaki. Oko's Inn. Madhouse. Directed by Kitaro Kosaka.
Your public winner for the best movie of 2019 is Fate Stay Night, Heaven's Feel Part 2, Lost Butterfly. And the jury chose Non Non Biyori, Vacation.
Fate always seems to get a ton of support. What makes that series and this movie stand out to you?
I just got into Fate last year, starting with Dean's Day Night all the way to where we are now with this movie, Lost Butterfly. And speaking as a brand new fan, it is one of the most epic journeys I feel, personally, that any anime fan can undertake. In fact, you know what? It's even more than that. Getting into Fate is an experience like nothing else. And just like anything good in life, you have to work through the problem years, yes that's Dean, and then you're rewarded with these movies that just blow everything that's come before it out of the water. How the franchise can take essentially the same story and make it feel fresh and new and different in every single route honestly blows my mind. But Lost Butterfly stands out because its production is second to none. This movie would make your jaw drop even if you had no prior experience to Fate, but if you've been following it since the beginning, goddamn does it tie up and tile together those little loose ends in a way that is so satisfying and also kind of heartbreaking. I think you can analyse Fate, right? You can go as deep as you want with it, but at its base level, at its absolute base level, it's just so damn cool. We live in a time when Fate exists. We live in a time when some mad, crazy, talented people can animate like this. And yeah, Fate is confusing and it's hard to get into and all that stuff. But when you get to this point, and honestly even before it, but when you get here, you realise how worth it that journey was.
The Hero Aka movie did kind of worse than expected, or at least than I expected. The theater I was in kind of felt like a music concert at times. Why do you think this is the case?
Talking about this movie purely on a personal level, I really enjoyed myself. I love My Hero Academia, it's a franchise that's very dear to me. However, I don't really have any desire to go back and revisit and watch the film. I think it's good, hearty, shonen fun, and I would recommend it to any My Hero Academia fan. But what does it really bring to Hero Aka? That's the question I'm left with, and I'm sure it played a big part in why it didn't poll as well as expected. When we go see a band, right, we're excited because we love them and their music, and if we're lucky, we'll get a new song that we haven't heard before. And Hero Aka kind of had that moment with its climax in the film, but ultimately it didn't really do anything new. Movies of popular franchises have this opportunity to make something that creates an impact. You could change up the style like what Hosada did with the 6th One Piece film, or animate an arc from a manga like Demon Slayer is doing with the Mugen Train. There are so many options, and this was a good first outing, but I guess it wasn't really plus ultra enough. I'm really sorry about that joke, but anyway, I hope as more films come out, we get to see this series achieve something wholly special that is just theirs.
All right, the juror joining us for movie is going to be Sack. Hello, Sack.
Hello.
Hi, can you give me a brief impression of how the jury went?
Sorry, that's my cat.
You're good.
All right. What did you say at the beginning? My cat was meowing.
Just give me a quick overview of how it went. Was it hard determining nominees? Was it hard to rank them? Or was it pretty easy?
All right. I was told to say non-nurse poggers because that's kind of what we started out with. Non-Biori vacation was basically set in stone as first place from the very beginning. And besides that though, it was incredibly close. Like
so from 2 to 8 down.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay. And so just to be clear, you guys have to watch every previous iteration. So you watched the first Fate movie, right?
Yeah. We watched the first Fate, and there was a lot of discussion on prerequisite watching, and there were several jurors who tried to convince people to read the visual novel.
Oh god, like the 30-hour long visual novel?
There was one in particular.
Okay. But what did you think of the movie? I mean, you gave it third, so you didn't hate it.
There was contention. Honestly, people liked it for its production and its characters and how they were presented. And there was also criticism for how it was kind of, well, I guess not really criticism, it was just the middle of a trilogy, right? So it couldn't
it's like a bunch of setup stuff for like the
it wanted.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was setting up for the finale.
Okay. And what made Non-Nons like make it stood out to you? I mean, from what you said, it was consensus number one, like almost immediately, basically. So,
Yeah.
Tell me why.
I guess the atmosphere was a pretty major factor. The situational comedy and the comedic timing of the show was...
So, like, basically, full on, non, like all the best parts cranked it to 11. Okay. Well, thank you so much for coming on, and I hope you have a good day.
Yep. You too.
All right. Next up is Best Original. Coming back to present Best Original is The Canipa Effect.
Original productions are a risk for everyone involved. While you can put out a new manga, have it run for a bit and then cancel it if it doesn't work, anime costs millions of dollars before anything's been broadcast at all. This is largely why producers rely on proven successes by adapting manga and novels that already have dedicated fan bases. It's easier to expand a brand that already exists than create one from scratch. But the nominees in this category were able to find people that believed in them enough to trust in their success.
Best Original: Carol and Tuesday, Bones, directed by Shinichiro Watanabe and Motonobu Hori. Hugto Precure, Toei Animation, directed by Junichi Sato and Akifumi Zako. Hoshiai no Sora, 8-Bit, directed by Kazuki Akane. Mirai no Mirai, Studio Chizu, directed by Mamoru Hosoda. Isekai Quartet, Studio Puyuka, directed by Minoru Ashino. Modest Heroes, Studio Ponok, directed by Hiromasa Yonebayashi, Yoshiyuki Momose, and Akihito Yamashita. Sarazanmai, Mappa and Lapin Track, directed by Nobuyuki Takeuchi and Kunihiko Ikuhara. Natsume's Book of Friends, the movie, Ephemeral Bond, directed by Takahiro Omori and Hideki Ito.
For Best Original Anime of the Year, the public chose Sarazanmai, and the jury chose Sarazanmai. Both the works of incredible directors, this proves that you don't need a brand when your director is a brand themselves. In terms of design, animation and storytelling, these are shows that are easy to love, and coincidentally enough, both have their own special musical moments.
Ikuhara is a massive name in the community, obviously known for works such as Revolutionary Girl Utena and Mawaru Penguin Drum. He's one of those directors that comes with certain expectations. In what ways do you think Sarazanmai met or defied those expectations?
Ikuhara is wild, but I felt that his wildness is best complemented by a sense of humanity, and his fantasy is best complemented by reality. In both Sarazanmai and Penguin Drum, it's easier to get to grips with the messages of each episode, and they both have a strong visual disparity between the real and the fantastic. My biggest issue with Yuri Kumaarashi was that there wasn't enough to grip onto, and so it instead became something that was great to appreciate from afar, but hard to get invested in. I'm not necessarily saying Ikuhara's gotten populist with Sarazanmai, but he has made character stories that are easy to appreciate and follow.
Now looking at Carol and Tuesday, that was a massive international effort, boasting notable contributions such as Denzel Curry. Is this unprecedented in the anime industry, and do you see this kind of practice increasing as we continue on into the future?
It's no secret that anime is getting more international, so it's hard to say whether Carol and Tuesday's use of Western musicians is necessarily unprecedented. Shinichiro Watanabe is a massive fan of Western music, so it was only really a matter of time before he made a series that revolves around it. But what I do think is happening is that because of the internet and the increase in international connections, Japanese creators are finding it easier to reach out and organise these collaborations. This is definitely something we should expect to see more of in the next decade.
Alright, well thank you so much for your insight, Canipa. We're always happy to have you. We sure are. You can find Canipa at The Canipa Effect on YouTube. I think you also find him at Canipa Show and thecanipaeffect.com. right, so the juror for Best Original is going to be PerfectPublican. Hello, how are you doing?
Hey, I'm doing good.
That's good. Can you please go over the jury process?
Yeah, of course. You know, it's funny. Honestly, all the way up in the end, Original was pretty divided. We had stuff that didn't make nominations, like, you know, Retzko from Shorts and Granbelm that had heavy proponents, and things that made it in, like Hugto and Mirai and honestly Hoshiai, that had heavy detractors. It was interesting. It made the final selections pretty interesting to see. We were all pretty agreed on Sarazanmai as our top pick, and Isekai being sort of, you know, weaker against the other options, landing it down on the bottom, but everything in between there was a really tight race for us.
Nice. Okay. What I want to ask you about is, well, no, I didn't want to ask you this. I just wanted to mention, Sarazanmai and Carol on Tuesday for the public were in like really neck and neck public voting. When I asked Canipa to record his segment, actually Carol on Tuesday was in the lead, so I had to edit his announcement. I hope no one caught it. The chat is asking about Given. Is Given an original, and was it considered at all?
I don't think Given was an original.
Okay.
If I'm correct, yeah.
Well, there you go, chat. It's not original. Anyway, while you're here, I have a credit actually from the director of Hoshiai no Sora. Here's his message.
I missed that. What did you say?
Oh, I have a message from the director of Hoshiai no Sora, Akane Kazuki.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he says, "Thank you for your correspondence. Although Hoshiai no Sora is still unfinished," sense a little bit of resentment there, "it is a great honor to be nominated. On behalf of the staff who worked on the show, I would like to give my thanks. Additionally, we would like to give our sincere thanks to all the fans of Hoshiai no Sora who voted for this anime. Thank you. My apologies for responding Japanese, but we were able to translate that. And thanks to Akane Kazuki." So was Hoshiai mostly liked despite the ending?
Yeah, you know, Hoshiai is a tough thing to deal with. Obviously, it got cut short due to what I would call, I guess, corporate mishandling. But, you know, we really appreciated what Hoshiai brought to the table in terms of originality and in terms of its production quality. But in the end, the unfortunate lack of an ending. And again, we do appreciate Akane's, you know, adherence to his vision and wanting to stay locked in on that, but it does leave the audience on a cliffhanger, and we can really only hope that Akane gets to finish his story at some point in time down the line.
Yep, we really hope for that. All right, well, thank you so much for joining me.
Yeah, I was happy to be here.
All right, bye-bye. Okay, y'all, we're going to take one more quick break, again, just 2 to 5 minutes, and when we return, we're going to do some test categories, and then anime of the year. So stay tuned. And we're back. Let's get the show on the road. Okay, so what I'm going to present now are some test categories. So what these are is that the way that the nominations work is that we have the public vote on a nomination website, and the jury adds 0 to 4 shows to that to make a final nomination list of 8 shows. Now, we wanted to see exactly how splitting the nominations would go. So instead of adding them together to make one full list, you would have 2 separate lists that you could compare directly to one another. So we decided to apply those to some categories that were kind of popular, but not popular enough to include right away. So that's best script, best sports anime, and best sound design. So let's go into best script.
Attack on Titan, Season 3, Part 2. Written by Hiroshi Seko and Yasuko Kobayashi. Public and jury nomination. Beastars. Written by Nanami Higuchi. Public and jury nomination. Mob Psycho 100. 2. Written by Hiroshi Seko and Yuzu Tachikawa. Public nomination. Run with the Wind. Written by Kohei Kiyasu. Public and jury nomination. Vinland Saga. Written by Hiroshi Seko and Kenta Ihara. Public and jury nomination.
Your winner for Best Script of 2019 is Attack on Titan, Season 3, Part 2. And the jury chose Vinland Saga. Juror joining me is Akipender. Hello, Aki.
Hey, how's it going?
I'm doing good. Briefly explain how jury process went and how different it is without having to worry about public giving you nominations.
Oh, man. So from the get-go, we didn't have a whole lot of... I mean, this is the first year that we've done this category, so we didn't have a whole lot of precedent to go on as far as what was the best script. So we spent a lot of time hammering out details, you know, should we consider more like the macro picture, you know, the larger narrative, the themes that were developed? Should we focus more on, you know, small scale stuff, you know, individual lines of dialogue? Fundamentally, it seemed like most of the jurors preferred the former to the latter, but we did consider both. After that, we kind of all did, you know, we all put in shows that we thought were worthy of nomination, and we went around and had everyone check out or watch the entire thing as it may be. And then we kind of whittled it down from there. It's funny that you mentioned that we didn't have to worry about the public, because the reality is we ended up with a pretty similar list to the public. We swapped Mob Psycho 2 for Run with the Wind.
Now, why did you do that? Do you agree with that? I mean, I guess you have to agree with that. Why choose Run with the Wind over Mob?
So Mob Psycho 102 had the unfortunate problem where the second half was almost universally considered to be of notable lower quality. As you'll see on the website when it comes out, we did honorable mention the Reagan arc in Mob Psycho 100, like pretty cleanly as the first pick for our honorable mentions. And I think in general, the consensus was that if we were able to just consider the first half, it would have made our nominations very easily and could possibly have won. But the second half was really not particularly good from a script department. It was a lot of extended fight sequences, not a whole lot of, you know, narrative value going on there. A lot of restatements of previous stuff rather than developments of new stuff.
Well,
so generally,
I think a lot of people would disagree with that, right? Like, because you have the whole Reagan arc and you have Mob's development.
Yeah. So I'm talking about after the Reagan arc. The Reagan arc was 6 and 7. Generally, from 8 onwards, was seen as a less compelling script.
I see.
No, the Reagan arc was great. Reagan arc was, I think, I can't speak for the entire jury, but it seemed like the Reagan arc was probably the single best received part of any script from last.
All right. Well, thank you so much.
The other parts were less good.
Thank you for letting me know.
Yeah.
All right. Have a good day.
Yeah, you as well.
Hey, Aki.
What's up?
I'm good. How are you?
Nice to meet you. Good. How are you? I totally.
Why did you blank out?
Why did I blank out? Because it was at the end. I thought that I was done. I was getting ready to get booted back into the waiting room.
Well, I'm booting you now. Okay. Well. Okay. He failed that twice. I did that last year, and he also hesitated. Anyway, we're gonna move on to Best Sports. Here are your nominees for Best Sport.
毎年この時期は園内でキャラの仮装ができるの。それじゃあ2人はコスプレイベントに参加しに？いや、
第一印象は大事だ。美しい貝。
Your public winner for Best Sports Anime is Run with the Wind, as well as the jury. We don't have rankings here. You can go see the rankings on the website when it releases at the end of the stream. Rowland, how did sports go? Oh, sorry, Rowland, they can't hear you. Yeah, I was up. No, it's my fault. They can hear you now.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, sorry everyone.
Sorry, chat.
I was talking.
See, I read chat. Anyway, how do you feel about sports as a category?
Yeah, let's go over this again. I felt that with test categories having 4 picks, it meant that we could really just highlight the best of the year instead of trying to figure out what's another sport that'll fit in 8th place. And we were really happy with all 4 of these. We didn't get Dumbo in there just because that was a close 5th. But just like the public, we thought Run with the Wind was excellent. And I was super happy to get to see and feature Mix because it really flew under the radar, I think, for most people.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for explaining.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
All right, no problem. All right. We're going to move on to the last test category. Thank you, everyone, for frantically pinging me. It's Best Sound Design. This was a really interesting category that a lot of people were looking forward to, so I am happy to see exactly how it goes. Attack on Titan, Season 3, Part 2. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, Part 5, Golden Wind. Fire Force. Machikado Mazoku.
ほら、ちょっと座って。飛び道具を検討してるの
JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Part 5 Golden Wind by the public. The Magnificent Kotobuki. Kimetsu no Yaiba. Totsukuni no Shoujo, The Girl from the Other Side. Your winners for Best Sound Design are JoJo's Bizarre Adventure for the public, and for the jury, The Magnificent Kotobuki. Alright, Thilo, how did this jury go?
Alright, so I want to start off by saying there's a lot more to sound design than just...
Oh god. Scared the crap out of me.
So the jury picks were pretty solid, and it was interesting with this category because you don't have to rely on public picks as well, so you have a bit more freedom on what gets chosen. Now, I noticed we don't have all the rankings here, but the other ones that won for the jury was Kotobuki. We then had Totsukuni, JoJo, and then Machikado. So I'll quickly go through them. It was a bit interesting on how the jury discussed, because everyone had sort of a different idea of what makes good sound design. So that could be either, the quality of the sounds themselves, how they're utilized in the show, how it works with the OST, the usage of like silent spaces to create moods and tones. So we applied all of these things into consideration, and our ranking, like I said, with Kotobuki first, came down to it having probably the best atmospheres and environments and sound design across the board. Those scenes, I don't know if you've seen any of the airplane scenes, but they're absolutely fantastic. They really pull you into the scene and you feel like you're actually, in a plane or in a dogfight. As for the other nominations, Kotobuki, as I said, was solid. Golden Wind.
The other Golden.
Yeah, the other Golden was really praised for its stand profiles. There were a couple complaints about how sounds were implemented into the show. A lot of times the sound doesn't exactly match the moment it's supposed to be used, but that also was a bit of creative liberty there, to make those impactful moments more impactful.
Okay.
Machikado was really solid with its comedy, using sounds to amplify that, and probably was the main reason I really enjoyed the show. Because
really, what were the sounds that amplify the comedy?
So they used this kind of 8-bit sound effect throughout the show. So you'd have like that steam sound that was shown in the preview when someone was angry. It'd sound like a train, or there'd be moments like anything that had some sort of like a typical comedy, I guess, like symbol on the screen would be shown and heard. So that was really nice. And then Totsukuni was also another case where it really brought you into the atmosphere of the show, with a lot of dead spaces that just really grinded in that sort of like thrilling feel. And yeah, it was just very solid.
So it's fair to say that you think sound design definitely should be a full-on category next year.
Yeah, I think compared to, it's a bit tough because a lot of people really think of just the OST as being the driving force, but there's so much more to what makes anime so, expressive with their sound design, because sound effects are also what are incorporated into, meshing together with the soundtrack. So I definitely think it should be a full-on category. There was a couple other shows that we were trying to like get into the category. We're only allowed to have 4 nominations. The Slime Sekai show was one that came to mind. Fire Force with its fire effects, as well as Attack on Titan. They all had very nice sound design, but we just felt our picks were more fleshed out across the board.
All right. Well, thanks for coming on, and thanks for chilling sound design.
No problem.
All right. Bye. All right. And that's the last of the test cats. You know what's next after that? Anime of the year. It all comes down to this. Our guest for Anime of the year is Lachlan, Pedantic Romantic. Hi, Lachlan. Welcome back. Let's give her a moment here. Okay. Sorry. So, here's what we all been waiting for. First, I want to thank everyone who's been with us thus far and welcome those who just showed up. This category is essentially to provide the ultimate recommendation list. Out of the hundreds of shows that came out in 2018, these 10 shows stand above the rest. They offer everything from uncontrollable laughter, developed characters, imaginative settings, engaging plots, teary eyes, or more likely, a little bit of everything. Without further ado, here are your nominees for Anime of the Year.
Attack on Titan Season 3, Part 2, Wit Studio, directed by Tetsuro Araki and Masashi Koizuka. Beastars, Orange, directed by Shinichi Matsumi. Kaguya-sama, Love is War, A1 Pictures, directed by Mamoru Hatakeyama. Hugto Precure, Toei Animation, directed by Junichi Sato and Akifumi Zako. Demon Slayer, Kimetsu no Yaiba, UFO Table, directed by Haruo Sotozaki. Run with the Wind, production IG, directed by Nomura Kazuya. Mob Psycho 100, 2, Bones, directed by Yuzuru Tachikawa. Symphogear XV, Satellite, directed by Katsumi Ono. Vinland Saga, Wit Studio, directed by Shuhei Yabuta. Zoku Owari Monogatari, Shaft, directed by Akiyuki Shinbo.
Your public winner for Anime of the Year is Attack on Titan Season 3, Part 2. And your jury winner is Hugto Precure.
Okay, Hugto is probably the one that stands out here. I think a lot of people won't exactly realize exactly why it's praised so much by the jury and why it's so high. So I'm going to give you a chance to just gush about it for a second.
Y'all sleeping on kids' anime. I told you earlier, it's still true. It hasn't changed. In the Precure landscape, Hugto is definitely a standout. The one you've probably heard of is Heartcatch Precure, thank you. Which had same character designer and animation director as Hiroaka. So it's got all the Sakuga, it's got a great story. And this is sort of in that vein of standout Precure series, where the writing is on point, the staff that Toei pulled together is consistently great, and long form, 50 episodes, a whole year of airing, there's a lot of room for them to develop the characters over the course of that, and they do a great job. It's a format that is going to put some people off. It is not as accessible as a long form battle shonen or even a shorter form battle shonen. You have to be in for that Monster of the Week format, the slow burning character development. But I don't think that the idiosyncrasies of the format, the fact that it's not as broadly appealing a format, means we should judge it as not as good if it excels at executing on that format's appeal.
So you would say, because I think the knee-jerk reaction to anyone looking at these is like, what the heck? How dare you, hurt my Attack on Titan or whatever? But you would tell them, hey, give it a chance, right?
Yeah, absolutely. One of the co-directors on this is Junichi Sato, who is very beloved, director of Aria, director of so many other greats. There's legit talent on this. There is real excellence to be found here. And again, I would not shame you for not enjoying this for any given person because of the various elements of the format that are not going to appeal to everyone. But at the very least, trust the words of those who checked it out and can confirm that this really went above and beyond here.
Yep. I mean, so we're not exactly unbiased. I made a video, Pedro made a video, but hey, I think it's worth a shot. Mm-hmm. Now, one thing I want to ask you real quick. I want to avoid directly comparing to other award shows, but even on the public side of things, Yaiba didn't do so well. Why do you think that is, and what do you think the public values in their top three?
So on the point of Kimetsu no Yaiba's performance, part of it is definitely just backlash to the funny award that it won earlier, and then of course its performance at the CR Awards. But part of it is that even public as this voting may be here for the R Anime Awards, it is a more exclusive group. It is people who identify actively as anime fans and have sought out communities to spend time in built around that fandom. And what really propelled Demon Slayer to its award success in other shows is the broadest of broad appeal. Those people who aren't probably hanging out in Reddit anime communities too actively, who are watching it in huge numbers, the ones who are engaging with streaming platforms to watch their handful of anime, but not as invested in the surrounding discussion.
Okay.
And so that's going to be why I think Kimetsu no Yaiba didn't perform as well here. Right. What was the other question?
Oh, let me actually bring in the juror real quick. Juror for AO2Y is Biochem. Hi, nice to have you.
Hello.
Hi.
Thank you.
And before I ask you how it went, I just want to say real quick, we reached out to Junichi Sato. We got a response. Here's his message. Hugto Precure is aimed at children, but made with sincerity. That people other than children might be moved by it, and come to like this anime makes us very happy. Thank you so much, from Junichi Sato. So take it from the man himself. This is one of the most prolific and greatest directors out there. They did Princess Tutu and other great works. So
worked back on the OG Sailor Moon, Aria, as we mentioned. Extensive history.
Yep. So there you go. Now, Bio, let us know how exactly the process went.
Yeah, so I think this year for AO2Y was one of the best years in terms of really checking out every single show that was. I think in particular, only one person had seen Symphogear at the time that we came in, and we all watched it, all 5 seasons of it. So I think that's just a testament to how much we really watched this year and really tried to pick out what we thought were the best shows.
All right, and I kind of want to ask you about Symphogear, because I think its inclusion here is like a little, not strange, but kind of, can you give me what the appeal of it exactly is?
So I think you really have to be a certain kind of person to enjoy Symphogear, and you have to be okay with a lot of stupidity and just a lot of really dumb action. I think a lot of it is self-inflicted and self-aware, as far as Symphogear goes, at least. But it was just a fantastic package, definitely one of the best animated shows this year. I don't know what animation was doing. Fantastic soundtrack, and it was a really great wrap up to a story that's been going on for 8-9 years now.
And before I open the floor up to Lachlan, I just wanted to ask you and give you a chance to defend yourself. Is the jury just being elitist for elitism's sake when they maybe put something like Yaiba down at the bottom at 10th position, or what is your reasoning?
Well, as far as Yaiba goes, I think if you look at the list of shows we have here, it's hard to pick a last place because this is anime. So Yaiba is still the 10th best show of the year, but this is the best shows of the year. We have to make some sort of scrutiny here.
Okay, and then Lachlan, you have any questions for Bio about how everything went?
No, I don't have any questions. Everything went as it should have. I can see that you've got the perfect process in place here. I'm very proud of you guys.
All right, I'm very happy for your acceptance. All right, well, thank you guys so much, and everyone, that was Anime of the Year. All right, Lachlan, where can they find you to find more of your content?
They can find me at my channel, The Pedantic Romantic. It's back from cryostasis to dunk on Twitch chat, as it should be.
And also her fiance Zaria has some great videos as well.
Yeah, she's the one making all the noise in the background, so check that out.
Well, thank you so much for coming by, and see y'all later. And that's the stream. How did everyone? How did y'all think we did? I want you to go ahead and share all the results. The full results in a gorgeous website will be made available very shortly. Actually, it might be even up now. And if you're ever curious about where the jury placed something or why something is exactly where it is, we've actually had the jury write write-ups to explain their reasoning and exactly what they thought about the shows for each and every show that they watched. That's like I don't know if it reaches 100, but it's a lot of shows. So I want you to go ahead and read those and share them and all that. Okay, so the website is ready, so I'm going to go ahead and show it real quick. Give me a second. The website is available at animeawards.moe. You'll be greeted by this screen, and you can go ahead and click on these tabs. So this will show you genre awards. You can see public rankings as well as jury rankings with this toggle. And if you click on any of these pictures, it'll give you a little blurb about why the jury voted it where it is. And then if you want additional stats, you can actually click on this category overview button here. And this will give you the voting percentages of like how many people watched the show. It'll give you the jurors that are in there and a category overview as well as how the jury process went. So this is really a tremendous effort by some members of the community, because I want to stress again, this is a community effort. This isn't this is all done voluntarily in people's free time without being paid, and it took many hours. So I just want people to acknowledge the sheer amount of effort that goes into doing something like this. Many sleepless nights. They were working on this up until the stream. So I just want to give shout out where credit is due. Just to go back real quick. Hope you enjoyed the stream. I'm going to leave it running just for a little bit, and you can still talk in chat. So have fun. Hey everyone, I'm back. The reason I'm back is because we actually missed something that we really wanted to show. So for short, our winner was actually Totsukuni no Shoujo. We actually got a recognition note from the directors, the creators, which is amazing. So just to show off, this is from, give me 1 second to read it out. Everyone, thank you for watching Totsukuni no Shoujo. We made it while staying as faithful to the atmosphere of the original work as we could. It may be a short 10-minute long work, but we're happy if it's something that you enjoyed and that it stayed with you all after you watched it. Also, we consider it a great honor to be nominated alongside such fantastic anime. Kubo and Maya. That's Satomi Maya. So we want to thank them so much for sending over this recognition and acknowledgement. And if anyone hasn't seen Totsukuni no Shoujo, it's a short watch. I mean, it's a short, but it is pretty stellar. So it comes highly recommended. And we're done again. Thanks for watching the stream.